All right, welcome everybody to MogTalk episode 190. Today is November 16th, 2019. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, it's a show where we discuss everything from raiding to, Chocobo Racing to Savage Raiding, and today we're venturing, of course, into Ultimate with the World Race. Before we get started, I do want to make sure you guys understand everybody that's on the show. We have probably the largest show we've done in quite a while. We have 10 guests, so I'm going to go ahead and start this up. We'll go in alphabetical order here. Aura, can you go first? Tell everybody who you are.
I'm Aura. I play Summoner for the group.
All right. Brian?
Hi, I'm Brian, or Super Peasant, and I play Paladin for Team Thoughts Per Second.
Okay. And Cles?
Hi,
I'm going to say Cles.
I'm the ninth man for Thoughts Per Second.
Okay. Keo?
Hello, I'm Kiona Lanier, the scholar for Thoughts Per Second.
All right. Phantom?
Hello, I am Phantom, Dragoon of Thoughts for a Second, who was made to play Bar this year because we needed a raid.
Okay, nice. All right. Raimi?
Hi, I'm Raimi. I am the team's white mage.
All right. Sophia?
I'm Sphere Perian, Black Mage for the team.
All right. Shin?
Well, I'm Shin, aka Shin the Neko, and I played Ninja for Team Thoughts Per Second.
And two more. Sindoff.
I am Sindoff. I am the Dark Knight, proving that you don't actually need to know how to play your class to clear content.
Okay. Zep?
Hello, I'm Zep. I'm the scriptwriter and main cheerleader of this group, who did a little bit of magic and gave Phantom, our general, also a little bit of emotional.
Okay. That pretty big team here. You said emotional support, right?
Pep talks.
Gotcha. First off, before we get started, I do want to make sure to congratulate all of you guys. This has been amazing to see this Ultimate and from a lot of different teams tackling it, and you guys completely rocked it. So congratulations on getting world first Ultimate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frosty.
Yeah. Everyone claps. We should clap. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey.
I do want to ask how you guys are all feeling. Of course, I mean it has to have been a very exhausting handful of days. Are you guys dead tired? Did you get a good night's sleep and you're just fine now, or what?
I've had no good sleep for the past week. My stomach hurts. I feel no joy. But it was still kind of fun.
The other seven had perfect sleep all through prog, and we played like it. That was great.
We should definitely say this before the show. Sindoff is literally the definition of a contrarian.
Okay.
Yes.
I get it.
Send off of the progression chest pain. Send off.
Progression chest pain?
Just don't get him started.
For some reason, every prog, like, I get it, my chest starts hurting because, like, the adrenaline just hits me really hard. So just get these random chest pains until the content is dead from, like, day one.
Oh, so if you guys don't kill it fast enough, you'll kill Sindoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Kinda.
It's not a race against anyone else.
My life is on the line.
You were close this time. Sindoff actually died during the kill, but he managed to get it down.
Sindoff had to die on this timeline. That's the only way we were going to kill it.
Okay. Fair. I'm glad you're resuscitated and back on the show today.
We will say that we actually slept pretty well. Like most of us got full night's rest every night, and we slept before the prog too. And we were feeling pretty good, but we did clear at the end of the day, so we were all exhausted just because it was like the end of like a 15-hour day.
Yeah,
we finally cleared it. So
yeah. So I'll say that I was on my way to bed. I was in bed. I've taken a shower, and I got under the covers. I checked my phone before I went to sleep, and then I just had like 50 messages. Wake up! Wake up! These motherfuckers cleared it. It's like, okay.
Yeah. We were nearly at bedtime.
It's always the last pull.
It always is. Like, there's so many pulls historically that the moment everyone says, okay, this is our last pull of the night, or everyone's about to go to sleep, that it just weirdly clicks.
Speaking of clear, if you guys want to see our weapons, you could come to Limsa in Gilgamesh and see us all standing here.
Oh, are you guys all there right now?
We're all here, all 8 of us.
World transfer, dude.
World transfer to Gilgamesh. Come on.
But yeah, Frosty, you weren't the only one ready for bed at that point in time. We almost called it what, an hour before we cleared.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
We were talking about going down for the night and trying to beat it when we woke up.
That poll.
And we got it together. We were like, yeah, let's just keep pulling a few more. And then it
That
died.
poll was our last poll of the night, right? Like we were definitely gonna sleep.
Maybe we were in that like just one more pull mode after every pull. So
Sleepy boys.
sleepy raiders.
I mean, when you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, I mean, that adrenaline has to kick in, and you're just like, screw it, right?
Yeah. Well, once you realize that the fight is on a timer, like that you're nearing the end, it's hard to sleep, no matter how tired you are.
Yeah. I mean, we have had lots of experiences with people who didn't go to sleep, and they kept pushing, and it did them no good, and they just felt horrible at the end of the night. Luckily, that didn't turn into the situation here. And, I mean, even if you guys did go to sleep, I mean...
Seems like we would have still killed it.
As of now, we would have, but there's also, remember, Uwu. We won in Rage.
I think we actually had that in Creator. In Creator, our group was pushing really hard, and then we went to sleep and woke up, and they had cleared it, and we hadn't. As it feels bad.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah,
and it comes full circle, doesn't it?
It happened to us literally to well, for some of us who were in wheelchair emoji. It happened to us in Uwu. We had it. We was one pull away, and we were tired, and we just decided to sleep, and we woke up to entropy killing it. So.
Yeah. I mean, of course, that's in the back of your minds when you decide if you go to sleep or not. But at the moment, you guys are really, really far ahead. I mean, we're passing the point of what, 12, 13, 14 hours?
Oh, yeah. And doesn't seem like anyone's going to get close to where we got to.
It might be several days. We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely could be, because I mean, this fight is a tough ass fight. From what we've seen. And I'm going to go ahead and ask this question, just so we have a general thought from you guys. After now completing it, would you say this is the hardest ultimate out of the 3?
I would say it is the hardest. It is one of the hardest to prog because it's extremely punishing. If one person makes a mistake, you just have to wipe. In UCOB and Uwu, if one person makes a mistake, you can raise them, and if you're good enough, you can keep going. In this fight, that's not as true right now.
There's some stuff you can lose people to and keep going, but there's a lot of mechanics that are that wipes the group.
Yeah.
They made several mechanics that bypass like healer LB3, tank LB3, where they just won't let you zombie on forward and see more mechanics.
Yeah, there's a lot of attacks go through immunity, res immunity, just kill you.
A lot of stuff goes right through hollowed ground too. And there's a lot of times you just get fucking outright murdered, even within a tank immunity.
There are times when I had Living Dead running, and the moment you get hit by it, the game just blacks out. And it's like, okay, start from the beginning. It's like not even gonna give you a moment to proc it. It's just instant wipe mechanic to the whole raid.
I think there's a ridiculous amount of mechanics in the mechanic gauntlets in this fight, and it's one of the hardest we've ever seen. I think that if you look back on this in a few weeks, I think more people will say, yeah, okay, I think this is the hardest ultimate. But right now, it's hard to say because we're in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
And we've had UCOB on farm for so long where it's just easy.
Well, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
I think people eventually, like some of the harder strats, I think there's eventually going to be community. I think this will most probably come out of the JP community, like community accepted strats that are relatively brain dead. And I think that'll make it maybe one of the easier ultimates after time.
Okay.
So, but progging it when everything's fresh and nobody really knows what to do, I think this was definitely one of the hardest. But on farm, that might not be the
It's definitely going to be one of the hardest to pug, like as in like pull people that like from different groups together because of Nisi movement. If nothing else, in Brute Justice Cruise Chaser phase, the Nisi movement patterns, like you learn where other people are moving, it's hard to really like write that down in a strat.
Well, yeah, that's why eventually there'll be, I think, community accepted strats, which will eventually just place everybody in specific locations. There's going to be, everyone's eventually going to have to be on the same page. It'll happen. I think it'll happen for this one, because there's actually so many different ways to do some of these mechanics.
No, that's good.
I think the gist of it right now is that you can ask all 10 people in here the difficulty of the fight, and you're going to get 10 different answers. Ultimates are always kind of subjective because they test so many different things that the rest of the game doesn't. And this one, in my opinion, is the hardest. But I know in other people's opinion here, it's the easiest. So it's all about what you personally find difficult at this point, I think.
Okay.
Give it a week and we'll see. You have probably a more educated answer for you.
Yeah. I mean, because this is still pretty fresh. It hasn't been 24 hours since you guys cleared. You guys, this probably, and again, you guys said you all had really good sleep. Are we talking like 8 hours of sleep? Are we talking 7? Are we talking about 6? What's good?
6 to 7.
Okay. Yeah, we had 7.5 one day.
Yeah, I think we did. Didn't we do 7, 7,
7 and a half? 7, 7, 7.5. Yeah.
That's when we said we'll be back in 7 hours, and then
that's when we start in 7.5. But we all did like stuff after we ended, so
we didn't actually get 7 hours of sleep. You get like 6 maybe and change, depending on the person, how fast you fall asleep.
The last night we did a little bit extra though. We like accounted for that and did like, okay, we'll come back in 8.5 hours and do this, and then accounted for people going to sleep, doing stuff, sleeping.
It was a trip. My alarm my computer reset itself, and I use it for an alarm. The last night we slept, I woke up naturally just to being fully rested before prog, and I was early, like 30 minutes before raid time. I was amazed. Like, we're actually sleeping that well that I don't even need an alarm.
Like REM sleep, like right afterwards, you got right up.
Real good, yeah. It helped a lot. I feel like we were pretty big brain in those fights. Like, we were all really thinking hard and coming up with creative solutions.
I know my sleep was terrible. I kept waking up in the middle of the night because I still had the adrenaline hitting my body. So the entire time I'm sleeping there, and it's just like I got this high intensity feeling, but I'm trying to sleep. It's a weird mixture.
Okay. Let's get away from the fight for a second. I want to talk a little bit about your team. What the hell is thoughts per second? What's the joke behind this? Is this like a meme that I don't know about? Is this something that is just like an internal joke?
It's not a joke. It is serious business. It is our mantra.
Okay.
Sometimes you gotta lower your TPS, man. Your thoughts per second have to come
Basically,
down.
I think it started off when we banned the word break, because from experience, every tier where we've said, oh, let's take a 30-minute break, we immediately start taking or playing like garbage as soon as we return.
Okay.
And it kind of evolved from that.
People would like go eat, and then when they came back, they would just be lethargic because they'd just eaten. And kind of just slow on mechanics. We'd start wiping like crazy in the early phases, and it was just, yeah.
I mean, so we banned it. It was also a sort of, what do you call it? A balancing factor in terms of what we decided to bring into prog as well. So it's a meme, but it's also not. It's got a real basis behind it, in that thoughts per second is just kind of a joking way of putting how much you have to actively think about playing your job as opposed to thinking about the fight.
For example, it's like playing samurai versus playing ninja.
Okay.
Samurai, you're pressing your Madare and your dot, and that's it. When you're playing ninja, you're pressing your mujas, you're lining up your bunshins, you're throwing out Bavakakras, all that.
That's part of the reason I'd want to take Warrior every tier before, instead of like ever playing Dark Knight. Not just because I think Warrior is good, but because it's so simple and easy that you can focus on everything else that you have to. And now you can actually do the fight.
But this applies to just thinking about strategy too. Like, you could lower, if you're thinking too much about the later phases, you suddenly trip and fall in the early phases because your brain's elsewhere. We would say like lower your thoughts per second, like dumb it down, focus on these phases right now. You've got a strat for the later ones. Just
okay. So it's like keeping your heart rate at the right spot.
And
It became a mantra of sorts in prog.
Okay. Were you just like always just saying, make sure to check your thoughts per second? Is that like the my mantra you're talking about?
Kind of.
Well, for example, if we do a wipe and people start asking questions and start speculating, I just say, lower your thoughts per second, focus on the poll, and we just go back to where we wanted to go during the poll.
Okay.
It's good.
So I guess the other part about your team that I want to talk about then, I mean, that's actually a pretty good answer. I thought you guys were going to be like, oh, there's this one time we had a joke and it was like really funny and we don't even think about it anymore, but we wanted to make it our name. So, no, that was way more in depth than I was expecting.
Oh, actually, good team name.
Yeah.
Very
good
team name in making.
Even
Very
back
well deserved.
in 2.0, if you ever had hacks, etc., whenever I played with him, I'd wipe the group, and he'd eventually say, like, "There you go, thinking again." Like, you guys stop thinking.
Just do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's like kind of an ancient joke then, because I mean we always thought about that, how it would be like you'd be if you're wiping on earlier phases, it's usually because your headspace is not in the moment. You got to progress through one part of the fight after the other, and then when you get to the later stuff, you'll have time to think about it, and you'll have time to organize yourself and prepare yourself. So
okay,
just follow the flow chart.
Yeah. And Brian, I'll let you know, I still don't know why, but for some reason you are a little bit lower than everyone else.
Huh?
You are like your mic's a little bit lower than everyone. I can hear it,
maybe
but
I was far away.
Now you're good. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay. I'll try to remind you if I see it again. But yeah, people already ask about the audio. But anyways, I do want to ask the next question about your FC that you're in, because a lot of people recognize members of your group as being Elysium. That's what they were thinking. They even mistakenly report it. You're clear as Elysium on some websites. But you guys are in Radiance. What is Radiance? We haven't really heard too much about him.
It's an FC that we would like to create, but there isn't too much support around it, so we don't know if it's actually going to be a thing. And
Okay.
people are a bit divided. So, TBD.
All right.
But for the most part, the group is under Radiance. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 3 Elysium members. I would say we associate more as a Radiance group than EM group.
This isn't an official Elysium team.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why you didn't want to go under the name Elysium, because it just really wasn't proper.
It is a Radiance team, like in name officially, as far as I know. That's what we signed up on the sheet as.
Yeah.
And I think there was a bit of miscommunication in terms of who it was accredited to. So just make that clear. Yeah.
There you go.
Not that there's any like hard feelings there or anything like that.
No, absolutely. I'm sure
just,
there's drama there, and you guys are like, fucking Elysium, we're dividing, we're splitting up. I understand. It's okay. You don't want to talk about it yet, but
Civil War.
next clip from Zed. Huh?
So when you see the Japanese players shouting out Elysium for world first, then we're like, no.
So I saw that. I think they went in and
I got corrected.
You can't edit a tweet though.
That. They
can delete it, but
yeah, they changed the name or the title of the blogs that they do, and they also updated within the tweet comments itself. So it's more or less been redacted.
Oh god, someone took the name of 14 Progress. Oh jeez, why do we gotta do this stuff? I already see the joke.
What?
It's just gonna be a joke. It's somebody's a troll account. It's screwed. Whatever. It's done. It's done. I can't do anything about it. So next question. I want to know a little bit more about Tim, because I think a lot of people were curious about it. You guys have all played together in some regard, though. I think I remember, right?
Kinda. I've never played with R or Rami.
I think a lot of this group has history with each other. Some of us have been playing together for years at this point. It's kind of a perfect storm, if I'm just being honest. I mean, I think that a lot of things happened between the Elysium team last year and, the other group this year in Kia's Dinosaur Park, and, old people from Delete Monk and Wheelchair. I mean, a lot of these are just the same people, and we
Yeah.
just managed to form up a team where every single player is probably like the most consistent, just probably the best pick for that position that you could ask for. So
I think the only one who wasn't a part of the old teams that goes back is probably Aura, or at least I don't. He's the only one in this team, in this group, that I haven't played with very much.
Who are you people?
So
couldn't ask for a better summoner.
did you guys go through like a recruiting process, and you're just like, all right, this is the person I want, this is the person I want, or you're like, well, we all know each other, and we're gonna play together because we are comfortable with each other?
Depends how far back you want to go.
Oh, okay.
Dude, recruiting
Well, for
in
this
game,
for this tier,
recruiting in this tank game is misery. It's so hard.
After
Where are the good tanks? That's gonna
after
step up.
Uwu, we ended up starting a year-plus long bamboozle in order to destroy Elysium and get Spia away from the FC, so we can get him into the group.
Okay.
I mean, groups dissolving and reforming isn't so new and strange. I think the old guard, we'd keep like the same teams, or roughly the same teams, for tiers and tiers and tiers, but I don't know, more people are just going casual, other people are stepping up, so we get these mixed match groups. That's just what ended up happening here. We lost a couple from one team, we lost a couple from another team, and this is what we ended up with.
Yeah, like the part of, I mean, some of it is like I'm partly here because like I was with my previous team for Eden, and we had schedule conflicts, like a lot of schedule conflicts. We had like somebody who couldn't raid, who had to stop at 9 p.m. EST, but someone who got home from work at that time. Yeah.
Okay.
And we just end up with a case where it's like, well, we're running into cases where we can't even raid. We can't even play the game.
Right.
So let's jump ship now. That's just how it is sometimes. If you're not having fun, that's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
In this group, we had like, okay, so no one wants to practice, like, or I mean, maybe you do, but not that much. But I mean, everyone here kind of, buckled down and really, whether they wanted to or not, they came to practice. We worked really hard. We did shit that it was kind of awful to practice. It was really shitty, but we did it anyway because we knew it would make us better. So
Pretty sure our A8 practice took almost as long as Ultimate did.
Yeah, I actually, in terms of days.
Hey guys, let's take our pants off for living liquid.
What? We set obscene restrictions on ourselves in practice, and I think we can probably talk about that later in terms of prep.
Sure.
But it was very, very efficient and good practice.
Okay.
It was very challenging, yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit longer for prep and everything else. I guess I think a lot of people are curious about this. I know I'm curious about this, and I do want to remind everybody that's watching the show, we are still going to be respectful to the race, and so there may be details that we won't go over just because it would be not respectful for the people who are out there still trying to clear the fight without having that information. So if we ever hit those moments, you guys just let me know and tell me to shut up, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
That being said, I kind of want to know what how the whole process went for you throughout the week, and what you can kind of tell us your progression was. So if we go into day one, Tuesday, the fight's released, you guys get in and you go through the fight. Where was that first kind of hurdle that you guys had?
Protean wave?
Was
Yeah,
it?
the little miniature
Actually.
hurdle.
The very first mechanic.
I kept dying and we couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
Some wave.
The fucking protean
Yeah,
wave.
the
shoots
initial
he has a
protean wave,
fucking-
and then he just shoots one in front of him, and
Yeah, what the
like we didn't even
fuck?
know that was. We thought like that there was like people just fucking it up, and then it's like, oh, maybe it's shooting at the hand.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, now I have to position the hand on Sindal, so I'd like drag it directly middle, and any other tanks out there probably know how fucking awful that is because it doesn't want to move.
Mhm.
So if you misposition, it's awful. I get it in the middle of the room and I face it at Sindolf and he just dies anyway. It was just like, oh.
So then, like, I think somebody saw a poll of, like, Sindoff just being dead and a protein wave shooting anyways, and that's when we saw that it was a shooting north.
Yeah, that's tricky. That's real tricky.
But I think early sticking points, we were stuck on that for a little bit, and all the various, like, protean orientations for a bit, but not too long. I think we were stuck on limit cut for a bit.
Of course.
Limit cut was definitely the first, like, actual hurdle.
Trying to figure out a strategy for it, and when we even had the strategy that we ended up using, it was really hard to learn it because the timings of, like, the explosions catching up to you, or running too fast in front, or cleaving the people next to you. And it's just, there's a lot of very tight movement there.
Yeah,
it's just hard to execute when you first learn it.
So I'll say pretty much all the streams, everybody hit limit cut, and we're like, okay, what's the next part of the fight? And we're checking and we're looking to see if anyone's progressed, and that was the dead wall for everybody Tuesday. 100%. People just really couldn't get past that point. And I know there's a lot of people who are watching it. They're like kind of curious about how far players would get, and they were like, this is kind of, I'm kind of making speculation, but I think Square Enix probably wasn't expecting people to get stuck there. Go ahead.
I have a theory about that limit cut that we wouldn't have been able to solve that as fast as we did if we didn't do UU together.
But
because
go ahead, sorry.
Because like I feel like it was kind of like a weird joke almost when we were suggesting just run in a circle.
Oh my god, here we go.
Yeah. Hit it with the NA brain.
Hit it with the NA
and
brain.
It worked.
The NA mechanics.
And it fucking
go around.
It fucking turned out to literally be the best strategy to use for that mechanic. We were like, oh my god, thank god we did suppression NA strat.
Oh god. Yeah, you know about the meme, right, Frosty? Our suppression strat?
No.
Literally merry-go-round.
Oh.
We cleared ooh suppression by running in a circle. That's how we did it.
That's
we look at Entropy's video and they're just like completely scripted. Start out fanned out on the wall, run through the middle, split this way is so perfect, and we're just like XD Mario Kart.
Oh, you know that.
Yeah. Okay. Bringing it back to T9. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess JP was the initial NA then, because I'm pretty sure the merry-go-round was their thing to start with.
Was it?
Maybe it was, yeah.
I
think
like
it
second
was.
coil or something.
Yeah, back in T9 for the meteors and nail.
Mm-hmm.
Originally JP, but we adopted it.
Okay.
It's terrible.
What is terrible is some of the gifs that I was seeing on Twitter.
Oh my god.
Wednesday morning when I woke up and saw people like quote unquote solving limit cut, running across the middle, and it was just an absolute mess.
Every single number had to do something completely different. It was why.
That's the thing though. You had to reduce your thoughts per second. Like that's too complicated.
Exactly. Lower your TPS.
One can think about that.
Lower your thoughts per second.
Mm-hmm. Got to make it simple so you could stay consistent, right?
But I think we nailed down the strat for that pretty quick in terms of just like we brainstormed it, we got stuck, but the stuck was mostly the execution. Like we figured out what we were going to do pretty fast.
Okay.
And then we just died to it a lot while you're figuring it out.
Well,
but that's not where we got stuck on Tuesday. We got past limit cut on Tuesday.
Yeah.
On Tuesday we made it all the way to Nisi, and we stopped there and called it for the night.
Okay, so you guys, in reference for what we were seeing on stream, I don't think there were many. There's some teams who saw it, but they weren't really seeing it consistently. And I think that was the big issue, is that a lot of teams were having issues consistently getting to these phases so they can figure them out. How consistent would you guys say at day one getting past limit cut?
Probably tell you from logs, actually.
Very consistent. We had to figure out the exact spacing between the circle AoEs, and once we had that, it was very consistent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we used the arena markers as a way to space out our movements. Once we figured that out, it was like done.
The wedge strat.
Thank you, Kia.
They're lines, not wedges.
Wait a minute.
There are wedges, but those comprise of 2 lines.
The circle AoEs perfectly cover 2 wedges. Like each circle is inside of 2 wedges, and they rotated the next 2 wedges, overlapping the one in between of the 2. So once we figured that out, we could measure it with our eyes as we ran across, and then it got super consistent.
Okay.
I'll say that you guys don't know how to like explain things because it was like wedges and then lines. I just started counting the explosions like.
I think Sindolf was the only one who wasn't on the same page with that.
Contrary.
I'm pretty sure everybody
exactly. You're getting it, Frost. You're getting it.
All right. So you guys woke up and you basically on Wednesday morning, you guys had your bananas or whatever you're eating and everything, and then you're just like, okay, we're going to get in and figure out Nisi. And it seemed, from what I could see on a lot of streams again, is that phase 2, once it was figured out, no one really fails on it anymore.
Yeah. That's how it was for us.
It's a group synergy thing. Like, if you started subbing people out, you start seeing failures.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the more you play with one per group of people, the better you'll be at Nisi phase.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of specific movements that we didn't even like discuss. Like, we just know that this player does this at this time. Like the movement with their Nisi debuffs and stuff.
I actually thought we were going to have more accidental passes, like even once we'd cleared the phase, but it didn't happen very often. Oh, we had accidental passes, but it was rare.
There's like a specific point in the fight where I have to drop ice for the tornado, and then we have to pass on Nisi, and eventually Shin and I don't even stop and wait to do it. We just run through each other like in like one swift motion. And he's using assassinate as well, so I can't even see him.
I mean, if it works,
you can probably actually chalk that up to the practice we did in A4, where we had everyone doing Nisi at certain points.
Yeah.
We just learned how to handle our movement well.
The A4 was really good practice for that. Oh my god, it was. The Pentacles, like doing the Pentacles over and over and over again, which we did with Nisi, was insanely good practice.
And having everyone do it.
So I'll ask, did you guys, so you properly did A4 Nisi multiple times before actually going into this fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did one strat for like the healers in range, and then we went back in and did it for tanks and me.
Okay.
Which is, it just was some excellent foresight on our part, because it ended up being a mechanic where every single person had to handle Nisi. I think we also set restrictions on ourselves too, but I mean, we can talk about that when we go to the. Are we talking about prep now, or?
I mean, we can. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to talk about. Then go ahead.
We practiced limit cut a lot too.
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah.
Glad we did that.
Well, I mean, they did say there's going to be basically everything in the fight. Just real quick tangent. Do you guys believe that holds? I mean, it's not obviously everything, but if you were going to make an ultimate fight and say you're including everything, did they include everything that they should?
Where's height?
Not at
Hello?
all.
Yeah.
Okay. There's not a single bit of height in the whole fight.
That's a real disappointment.
Like, you combine height with any of these mechanics, and it's just way harder.
Yeah, we were.
Imagine if the first temporal stasis had heights. That would be cool. But
yeah. It was sad not to see dancing robots around the screen, and not to have like poison that you had to turn into an ape or something, and that would have been a little bit interesting.
Like, all of A6 just does not exist.
What? Totally does.
That's what brute justice is.
Well, no, they have Vortexer, but where's the height? Where's the whole drill mechanics?
Oh yeah, that's
we don't have that.
They
We don't have a lot of
block. They have the
we don't have
earth
enough
missiles. They have the
Wow, the
mines
dashes.
exploding.
where are the mirages? Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much of it that it just do not exist.
Yeah,
we were
ready for it. We were ready for all that stuff. We had practiced and talked about strategy and everything for that stuff, and it just never showed up. At least in that part of the fight, which was kind of disappointing.
So how much of the stuff that you guys practiced for just didn't show up? Like, is it half of it didn't show up that you practiced for, or like a third, or?
I feel like the stuff that we went over in depth was all there. You know, the ones that we knew would be there: Cruise Chaser, Living Liquid, Brute Justice, Alex Prime. But the other ones we didn't go too in depth with. We did every fight in the Alex series, obviously, just briefly touched on most of them to jog the memory on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we were pretty specific in what we sort of aggressively targeted in our prep, and it was typically pretty accurate, I think. I don't think we spent much time on anything that wasn't relevant.
Okay.
A2S, Pepe hands.
If only they had
Awful
the
advice,
voice.
by the way. Never again, Essie. Don't do it.
We even did A2, and it's just
You practiced the
hate
the
that
driver?
fight. The gob cart, yeah.
Yeah, we were ready for everything.
Oh, I think they got enough heat from that they realized that they didn't want to put it in there, but it would have been amazing to see it in there.
Zap boot camp. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Phantom bootcamp.
It's literally just do all the content.
Yeah, that was with no disrespect to Zeppy, that was the Phantom boot camp most certainly this time around.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah?
Phantom speed.
Deathless.
Deathless.
Deathless boot camp.
So Phantom kind of planned out all the training and everything for you?
Well,
He
yeah.
Also planned their diet.
Why don't you tell us about it, Phantom? Phantom, why don't you tell them about what we
What, our prep?
our prep? Yeah.
So, when the cutscene for Ultimate was announced, we knew what bosses would be in the fight. So we went into those, and we initially would unequip both rings and pants and see if it was possible. But for A8S, it seemed mathematically impossible to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we just went with only rings off for that fight.
At Minai level. So
Yeah,
it's-
at my level.
No food either.
No echo. No food, no pots, no echo.
Okay.
So we basically went through each of those 4 fights at the lowest possible gear level, I guess, that you can possibly live at. And A12S was kind of weird because we had issues with the ad phase, I think. So we equipped, we only unequipped boots. But basically, we equipped the lowest possible amount of gear to survive. And went hard.
Okay.
Yeah, the mitigation essentially had to be perfect. Like you couldn't miss a DV, you couldn't miss like a shield, you couldn't miss like a APOC or Addle. You couldn't miss anything, or we would just I know, right? You
and
couldn't
miss
miss
an
anything.
APOC in
you
like
just-
a year now.
I know, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
It's almost like it doesn't exist anymore.
A bit of a comment about that actually is that other groups were like lowering their entire gear sets down, and it definitely has a different impact than removing just a couple pieces of gear from a high level set. So I don't know if I think it's because the weapon damage is still capped out that it felt like our heals and damage were still pretty decent, but the incoming damage was ridiculous. So
Okay.
that's why the mitigation really needed to be on point. Some of the DPS checks were really tough too, like LBing for Blaster's check and A8S. We actually absolutely had to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, the nice thing about practicing like might be like, oh, isn't that like fucking well, isn't that stupid? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that
Yeah.
like why would you put yourself through that? And I think the reason we did it was because if you caused a wipe because you forgot DV and it was like, oh, we would have just lived if we had DV. Like, I think normally you kind of just shrug that off and like, oh, we could have been topped more. If you do A8S with those restrictions, if you miss DV and you wipe, there's nothing else your team can do for you. If you miss DV, you miss DV, and it's a wipe, and it's your fault. You have to take responsibility for it. And you have to
Consistency
make sure it's
checks are very high. You have to be right. That you have to hit your cooldowns every pull, or you're just wiping just silly stuff.
So no
it
cheating
teaches
for DPS, right?
Yeah, it taught a lot of consistency, and it was very good. It was good practice.
Oh yeah, do we want to talk about the A12S thing now that we're done with Frog?
Yeah.
Hold on.
What are you talking about?
Layla, are you in Twitch chat right now?
He may be.
Please
He's not gonna.
respond
Oh,
if you are.
we need Fold and Layla to hear this.
Tell Fold to get
Yeah.
in here. This is
Yeah, this
extremely
is extremely
important.
Pay attention to this.
Okay, Layla's here.
I don't know if Fold's here. Fold might.
Fold
not be.
might be
Fold's
here.
sleeping. All right, let's go.
He's here. Well, they're trying to tag him. He probably is here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you have pictures, right, Sphere?
I'm
Okay.
trying to find them, but I can't.
Okay, so one thing we did in A12S was at the end we would stop DPS and see the Void of Repentances. And we wanted to see the exact timings and how they worked specifically, etc., etc. And Sophia discovered something very unique. So go ahead and say what.
Alright. So, you know how like the crutch of that fight and the way that it all comes together is the communion tethers with the void of repentance, and it became so like such a stark difference. And if you could kill before you got the communions plus void of repentance, that a lot of groups just wouldn't clear if they couldn't kill it before the communion tethers with the puddles. Unfortunately, we've only realized this 3 years too late. You can completely avoid getting those tethers.
What?
You can completely avoid getting the tethers by running to the complete opposite end of the room as Alexander. You sit there, you stack up. When the first tether pulse goes out, no puddles come out, tethers are broken, mechanic resolved.
Are you serious?
I'm completely
if you guys are watching in Twitch chat and zone into A12S right now, you can test it for.
You have to
Get to second voids, go to the opposite of Big Alexander, wait for the first tether, and it will break.
You can do it in Alex normal as well.
Oh my god.
Yep.
No tethers, communion puddle, easy game.
We kept that in like our back pocket.
Yeah,
the entire thing. It was like
It's in the hole.
It's a really precise positioning, so it's clearly not intended, but because you really have to be like right at the opposite edge. But yeah, they disappear.
Okay.
Gone.
All right. Well, hopefully somebody. I don't know if they're gonna fix anything from 3 years ago.
Hey, man.
Wanna travel back in time and get
Any
A12 fast?
people are having trouble progging A12S right now, there you go.
Well, I mean, it might be in like some time attack race at some point, right? So there's that. All right. So we're on the end of Wednesday. We'll get back a little bit to this timeline here. On the end of Wednesday, where were you guys ending up at? When were you like, okay, we're done, we're going to sleep?
End of Wednesday?
Yeah.
It's our boy Wormhole.
Yeah, that was Wormhole, yeah.
Okay.
Delete Wormhole.
It's funny.
I love Wormhole.
It's funny you said all the streamers were stuck at the first limit cut for a long time, and look where they're all at now.
Yeah.
Look where they're all at now. What's the correlation?
Limit cut, man, is the meme that came out of this. It was unexpected too, right? Everybody's thinking Living Liquid would have something that's weird. When everybody thinks of Cruise Chaser, they're like, oh, Cruise Chaser's a chump. They don't think too much about him, or at least that's what I thought.
I don't think a lot of people practiced Cruise Chaser. Most people I saw practicing pre-prog were like doing A8. Maybe a couple did A4 of the groups that didn't stream that we knew of. But I didn't see anyone go into A11, not for any length of time, really. We spent a bit of time in there looking at several things from the optical sites to the limit cut, really, yeah.
Okay.
And some other stuff, the lapis lazuli phase and stuff like that.
Right. And the towers at the end. What was the towers called at the end of that fight?
I don't remember.
I don't think the towers had names.
They had names. They were like on the side, but I don't remember.
Oh yeah, they were in the duty menu. Yeah.
But all right. So another wall, the hit that you guys kind of hit pretty much the same as everybody else did. Starting up, I guess that really asked the question of when you guys got to maybe Perfect Alexander. I don't know if you guys want to talk about when you got to it. Was it on like at the end of Thursday or anything like that?
It was. Do you want to say it?
I think there's not a problem with saying that.
Yeah, it was in the middle of Thursday.
Okay. And we won't talk too much past that. Again, trying to respect the race. There's still people out there going for second, third, first in their own regions and everything else, and it wouldn't be good to talk too much about it.
Yeah.
But that is publicly known. There is a cutscene, which we guys saw at the beginning of the stream, if you were watching the stream. That was like the first time they ever introduced anything like that to Ultimate, which, I mean, again, this is only the third one, but that is a very special treat to people who are hardcore raiders. That's not for anyone else, right?
Yeah, it was like a cutscene that was just for us. It was really awesome watching it the first time. It was like it cut away. It was very Final Fantasy, if that makes sense. It was very
Reminds me of Yuko in the transition there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very,
Lots of
very
golden, yeah.
Excellent
Yeah.
flavor to the fight.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
just
also
a
quite
just a raid. It's like it has flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's quite funny as well because only a couple of pulls before that we were crying about how this fight literally has no breaks. How you're constantly just transitioning from one mechanic to the next with zero downtime, and you're just straight into it, back-to-back mechanics. And then maybe only a couple pulls later, we get there and there's this minute-long cutscene we get to actually relax during.
It's actually funny that you get the down for the count buff there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 59 seconds long. You're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's nice because
See
it lets
you
me
in a
actually
minute.
get a drink.
Yeah. I mean, they need to add these things to the fights, I think, especially if the longer fights. They need to have these little cutscenes and breaks. I mean, when you do Hades over and over again, you're like, okay, here we go again. But this, I can't imagine anyone complaining that there's a cutscene doing it, like, even for the 100th time, right?
And I don't think so.
Still don't
I
get
mean,
sick
we
of the Phoenix cutscene in UCOB.
Yeah,
that's true.
I don't think I'll ever get tired of that perfect Alexander cutscene.
I mean, the Phoenix cutscene at least though, it's not that long, and everybody talks about like what mitigation they're doing during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
it's-
Alexander, we kind of, well, okay, we had stuff to talk about during that, I guess.
Yeah.
We had
Okay.
charts to look at. We had all sorts of things.
I mean, you need to. That is the spot to talk about strategy and everything else.
Yeah.
And just make sure you guys are all mentally prepped for going into it. It is a beautiful model they created. I'm pretty impressed with it. And I I really hope they add this dedication to future Ultimates too. But all right, so that gives you guys a kind of a timeline. Everybody watching the show right now, a little bit of a timeline about how the team went through, because we're always sitting in the dark, right? We're like, well, I wonder how the race is going, because you don't really see the race when you watch stream. During Savage, you kind of see the race because people who are streaming usually get not too far behind teams that are not streaming, but with this one, you guys were way ahead.
We were not always way ahead, I don't think.
I feel like our day one wasn't too good, was it?
Our day, yeah, day
it was
one,
pretty
we were
bad.
actually pretty on par with streams. Maybe we're getting a little bit ahead, but streams were pretty fast. I don't think we started to see like a big like split until Inception formation, maybe, or temporal stasis.
Yeah, I actually think that our temporal stasis gained us a lot of time because we basically got there and then we started strategizing around the edges of the arena, and then Kyo posted a diagram that was just genius, galaxy brain, and it's like 100% consistent every time and super easy.
Yeah.
When you guys see our video, you will instantly adopt it, guaranteed.
If you want a real indicator, we didn't know about J-Kick. We knew it from Oriza's stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Cleese was in there like, get ready for J-Kick. Get ready for J-Kick.
Right after the limit cut, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, Horizon's team did really, really well. Really impressed with them. It would be scary to see what they could have done if they had, multiple 16-hour days. But maybe next time. Maybe next time.
Our day one wasn't unfortunately that good, but a lot of the days later, like 2 and 3, they went pretty.
Wednesday was phenomenal.
Yeah, the second day was great. Third day, Third day was
went
the wall.
Super Saiyan.
Third day was the wall. I felt
Blasted
like.
through Alexander until Wormhole, which is what everyone's stuck at.
Yeah. Well, that was on the second day though.
The main thing that got us ahead,
Mhm.
I really think the main thing that got us ahead was we had insane consistency with the early phases. Like we would get to progression points like 7 pulls in a row, where we would pass Living Liquid, all the limit cuts, all the Nisi, no problem, and get straight through the progression point and just get to test something and then go back and do it again. Sure, we hit some slumps where we suddenly started wiping in the early phases, but this group has an incredible consistency with like stuff we've already solved, and that's so key to getting through fast.
So, I do want to ask if there was a mechanic that you guys, every time that you guys would be like, we're probably going. If we wipe on it, okay, yeah, that's fine. We're used to wiping on it. Was there anything like that, or were you guys pretty consistent with almost every mechanic?
Wormhole.
Definitely Wormhole.
Wormhole for sure.
Okay.
There's
And that
just all
sucks.
the
Probably.
permutations to
So
it.
Yeah, Wormhole is just the thing. You could do Wormhole 30 pulls in a row, and on the 31st pull, you get a roll you didn't have to do the first 30 pulls. Like, you never got number 8, and now you have number 8, and you have to do something different. And it was just, like, incredible that you when you have 8 people all in that situation, it took a long time to build consistency in Wormhole.
Yeah.
But yeah, on top of that, though, there's like we know for a fact that there are many different ways to solve that mechanic, and we had a bunch of solutions that we were pretty sure were going to work, but they all take time investment to for everyone to learn them, and then you got to figure out which is the easiest one, which is the most consistent,
and then make all the changes that you need to make those consistent and make them actually work, because there's a lot more sort of finesse in every strategy that you make, because it's a very, very movement and positioning specific mechanic. So things like that, they take a lot of time to really iron out all the little wrinkles in it. So we kind of just went with the first thing that felt like, yes, this is absolutely going to work, so let's just smash our heads against it until it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of small nuanced movement, a lot of just working through tiny little problems that can basically kill you. For those of you who've seen after Wormhole, what happens immediately after, you essentially have to, in order to definitely survive, you need all 8 people there. You can't have someone, you can't have anyone get clipped by that limit cut. You can't have someone, just die or be super low or anything like that. I mean, you can heal them up, but it's a scary mechanic.
Okay. I mean, that almost seemed like the theme for the fight. There's not a lot of places you can really recover too well, right? I mean, during the beginning, I guess you get past that point, a person could die here if they die at the right spot, I guess, but there's a lot of mechanics in there that's pretty much one mistake wipes the entire party, right?
Especially in Wormhole.
Yeah.
Like, basically, if anyone dies, that's the end of it. There's no recovery. How many pulls do we ever have any pulls where someone died in Wormhole and we actually recovered and got to...
There was one where somebody died to like the 7-8 charge, maybe. And
that's
then
the only one that you can.
And it was a
really
tank.
mess.
But
in a patch or two, when people just get better food and the gear sinks down just right, you'll probably be able to live through some of that with like 7 people if the right person dies by accident in a lucky enough roll that it doesn't affect anybody else. But right now,
being I-475, yeah.
Yeah, but right now it's rough.
If your white mage dies in Wormhole, it's over. You just wipe.
Either healer, yeah. If you lose either
You
healer,
you lose all your MP, it's over. Don't even bother.
So
I mean, there's a massive MP burn right after that, so there's just no way.
So right when, once the next tier happens and we can get the proper sync and everything, I might have a chance at clearing this fight, is what you're saying?
break your limits,
it'll be
Frosty.
easier.
I believe in you.
you, Frosty. It's just time and commitment, man.
You just have to memorize every permutation.
Dude, it only took 4 and almost 5 days to clear this. Come on. What kind of fight? It's easy.
Wormhole's definitely a mechanic I think will have that community accepted strat that makes it really easy.
Okay.
Everyone disagrees with me on this, but I think our Wormhole is really complicated needlessly at certain points. There's probably slight adjustments we can make to make it easier, but in general, it's all right.
I just think it's a really hard mechanic. It's the hardest mechanic in the game, hands down in terms of execution.
I'll give it that. Yeah, that's true.
I agree with that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of nuanced, tiny little positional mistakes you can make that just instantly make it like super hard or just flat out impossible are just.
Well, yeah, that's why I think over time people will find a way that it's like something that we thought wasn't possible is actually possible.
I believe in the community, but I definitely think it's a difficult mechanic for sure. Easily one of the top 3 hardest mechanics in the.
So there are a few teams that have like pugged this fight, right? That have not this fight, sorry, previous ultimates. Is this going to be one that people can pug without like using Discord or voice or anything and just have a consistent strat and you just go in there and clear it?
And do it if there's one set strat for Wormhole and everyone knows what to do there. Okay. One set strat. If anything's changing, you gotta memorize something else.
Okay.
My biggest concern with pugging this fight is actually Brute and Cruise phase.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's literally a phase that you learn by failure almost, by knowing exactly where you can't go, and that takes time. And figuring out how to make that work with everyone around you. We went unspoken in our group just because I think the synergy was really high. But in a pug, where you don't know how people are going to move and everyone's responsibilities, and you have wacky comps that you're not playing with every single time, that's going to be a massive hurdle for people who don't play together regularly.
Good.
I like to think the people in this group are smart enough not to run under brute justice when I'm tanking. Just don't go there.
I would think so, right? Did you guys have that happen?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Another question that I have, I had it for just like half a second there. All right, I'll have to come. No, okay, yeah. This is something I didn't put on the sheet or anything else. We should talk about is comps and kind of going into this fight with like jobs. It's pretty straightforward. Usually you can say it doesn't matter as long as you have a reasonable, logical comp of like a melee, a DPS, a range, and everything else, that this fight should be fine. Is there a huge difference between certain jobs that it would really hinder you to not take a job versus it would really hinder you to take one of the jobs right now?
I don't know how you do this fight without White Mage.
Okay.
Or Bard.
Yeah, it definitely Bard. This is a Bard fight 100%. Don't take down Sir Machinist.
Okay.
Bard is significantly better because most of the fight is to target.
I mean, you could probably finagle it without a Bard damage-wise, but it'd be harder. But White Mage, like the healing checks in some sections, is so hard without a White Mage. The Cure 3 does so much work. So I'd be curious to see if there's an Astro Scholar clear.
Okay. And I mean, that's just kind of rough for everybody that's learning the mechanics and everything right now? Or do you think even after this fight's pretty much mapped and figured out, that it will still be kind of that situation where it's going to be a struggle if you do take a non-white mage in the group? Or you don't take a white mage in a group?
I think you're gonna have to. You really have to take care of the certain healing burst checks, like between the two Mega Holies and during the stuff right after Wormhole, which is the big MP burn. But you could probably do it. I mean, the big MP burn's pretty spread out, so maybe that's fine. Seeing the two Mega Holies is hard, and some other sections are really hard too.
Okay.
In the early parts of the phase, or early parts of the fight.
And I guess the other question to this is, should Square Enix make changes to jobs to accommodate them for Ultimate, or is this something that's just part of how it is? Some jobs are going to be stronger for Ultimate and some are not.
Buff Warrior.
Probably not. I mean, like later changes they'll make to jobs, they'll probably make those other jobs better in this fight specific. I think this fight was also really summoner friendly too, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe
very good cleaving. Very good cleaving on the first two phases.
Oh
yeah.
Most people are probably going to look at our summoner black mage comp and be like, "What? Why aren't you have two melees?" That's probably the biggest comp-related observation and question that I've gotten so far.
It was actually super convenient in the second phase because like passing Nisi with two melee, there's probably a strategy but when you have triple ranged, I don't know, it's just so easy. Like positioning is so easy. Everything was really lots of room.
And you're freeing up a spot on the boss, and you're making use of like empty space on the map that you otherwise wouldn't normally use with the range.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can put the melees on different bosses, but yeah.
Yeah, but then you'd still have a tank and a melee.
Do you think that bringing Black Mage was a good decision, or was it more just Sophia wants to do Black Mage?
No,
Sophia was a good decision.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. We were just on jobs we were comfortable with.
Okay.
There's definitely some discussion before we were especially from Phantom, really feeling like there was. Well, let's be honest. I mean, we thought maybe two melee was good. I don't think two melee is
caster was on the table.
I don't think two melee is bad at all. I just think it's just what we ended up going with. It's just we were like, we have a person, Svea, who's really, really comfortable in Black Mage. It doesn't look like there's any downside, at least on paper. After practice, we're like, yeah, well, fuck it.
Okay.
Well, like
Black Mage Summoner's pretty good damage too, like really good combined damage.
well,
I would argue that Double Caster is probably the safest way to do prog at the moment.
Okay.
With the double addle, the fact that they're ranged, and just you bring more utility to the team, and I don't mean utility in terms of litany and trick. I mean defensive utility and the ability to impact the raid in intangible ways.
Mm-hmm.
Personal shields on both. They both can shield
Yeah.
themselves. They both can addle. There's a lot of mobility on the Black Mage. I know that sounds weird to say, but it is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
definitely,
he used
definitely came in handy.
he used manip quite a bit through most of our prog, and it was what do you call it, between the ley lines?
Yeah.
It's pretty useful.
so like think of it like also like this. When you take multiple ranged, you get to just go about your mechanics in a much different way. So like the easiest one is Inception. So when you have to kill the heart,
Mhm.
you just you can try messing around with the flamethrower, things like that, so that melee can get full uptime on it to make sure the thing dies. Or you can stand in the middle of the room and have people like
Just turret.
shove daggers
Yeah.
at it. Because there's been a lot of cases where I'm pretty sure people have said, "Oh man, if only we could hit the boss from this side of the room." Well, you can now. So now
Even
let's just do
Shin.
the easy way.
Even Shin, our melee, was using Mudras there, so he could stand in the middle.
Just basically arranged.
Yeah, it was
3.5 range comp.
Yeah, but it opens up possibilities where you can still keep uptime, where you may have lost it otherwise.
Okay.
It makes creating a strat much easier because you don't have to factor in melee uptime.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest benefit to the comp.
Okay. And is that
lower those thoughts per second?
Yeah. Is that something that you guys think is okay to make it to where maybe the standard should be just one melee, or should it be two melee, or does it really matter?
You should play whatever your players are best at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Comfort is massive.
If they hate their job, they're not going to play well, and that leads to mistakes, and that leads to wipes.
Okay.
And Phantom, you're an anomaly.
Yes.
Phantom took a bullet for the team and went ranged, even though his soul is in Dragoon.
Mm-hmm. That is strange.
Phantom can play jobs at a high level and still do calls and strats. It's just he's weird.
Yeah.
Different.
It's like a good player, a really good player or something.
Yeah, if you want to know how flexible we think Phantom is, we were debating putting him on tank at one.
Oh my god!
And at one point, talking about healer as well, a long time ago.
Phantom,
there's a
would you be
lot of
comfortable
individual
doing that?
talent. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying there's a lot of individual talent in this team. I'd say more than any team I've played with before. It's just this roster is stacked in terms of how good the players are.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that, actually. And Phantom, I'm going to ask that question real quick before I actually go into this next point, though. Phantom, would you have played tank and healer and been like, whatever, I don't care?
If it was necessary, yes.
Okay. All right.
But I think that the players that we have on those roles at the moment are more in tune with those roles. They've played it longer, have more experience, so
All right.
it makes more sense to have me on DPS in this particular group.
Spoken like a true professional, man. All right. That being said, I do want to ask you guys, good players. You were saying you guys have good players on your team and everything. How would you guys define a good world prog player?
Someone who's consistent and
Consistency. Don't fucking die.
Okay.
We checked our death logs a couple hours ago, and everyone was within like 10 deaths of each other.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's also because this fight's kind of hard to check the death logs for, because if one person dies, everyone's just gonna run into the wall.
Okay. All right, let me give my answer to that.
Okay.
Okay, so I define a good prog player by 3 different aspects. First, strategy. How quickly can you pick up on a new strategy? And how open is your mind to thinking about potential solutions to mechanics? Second, mechanical consistency. How consistent are you at like phases we've already done, phases that are on farm, stuff like that? And then the last one is the ability to deal damage without having to think about it. The ability to do 95th plus percentile without having to worry about optimization or anything like that.
That's pretty straightforward. All right. So, and all the players on your team would say are high ratings on all those different sections.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. The other question I have with you is maybe this is another kind of question for Phantom. I don't know for sure. When you're going in, how do you guys prepare making sure the team stays on track and doesn't get lost in like, holy shit, that was a really cool transition, and you just kind of fanboy out on it for like an hour?
Lower your thoughts per second.
Is that it?
That's what we do.
Pretty much.
That's what we did.
And that's like the nice way of saying shut up and let's focus?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think we even did that. Whenever we saw like a new mechanic, we just gushed and like everyone was on the same page. Except probably Sindal.
Yeah, we would gush, but it wouldn't affect how quickly we were moving through things. We would see something like, oh, that was fucking awesome. All right, so let's do this, this, and this. Yeah, let's go.
How do we solve this problem? All that.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Let's see. What we did skip a couple things about the fight that I do want to talk about in particular. The one of the big controversial things about this fight was the Jagdolls and crit and direct hit. We didn't really discuss that too much.
I mean,
we had probably less than 10 wipes to Jagdolls dying.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Svia's secret to that is run no crit at all.
I was literally minimum crit.
And it still happened like twice?
It happened twice that I direct crit twice in a row.
Once you realize that the dolls only have to be below 25% and you can feed them fine, everybody can do like, you can basically with like 99% consistency make sure that you don't kill your doll, even if you like get a weird direct crit. Like crit and direct hit isn't even a huge issue, I think.
Just reset your rotation. Like, don't use your Aeolian Edge. Use something else. If you crit direct hit the one in your combo, it won't kill it. You just feed it.
It would have to be crit direct Aeol and a crit direct auto, plus some other crit nonsense that happens earlier for it to happen like that.
I mean, and this is kind of a good point, because I like this idea. I like this point that, like, hey, you have to be careful and cautious with your DPS, and you could crit and you could mess things up. Everyone else says that's stupid, and maybe you guys agree with that too. But I think it's kind of interesting to say, hey, this is a point of control, and a good player is how they can control their damage going out on this ad while trying to do maximum damage with that in mind, right? Would you say that the point of them putting in the ads was a bad design, or was it good?
I think it's good. Controlling DPS is just another like tool that players need to be able to do.
Oh yeah, that was another point for O4S or A4S practice. Excuse me. Having the Jagdolls in A4S, we fucking had all kinds of. We practiced and figured out all kinds of problems that you could run into with those things. Yeah, I mean, most people here have a lot of experience with Jagdolls, so maybe that's why it wasn't that big of an issue for us. I can't speak for them because they're the DPS. They would know better than me. But
you can always have a tank do a doll.
Not in that fight.
No, actually, it doesn't. You can get it in you can attack it in melee range, and it will not tether to the boss until you bring it in.
Yeah,
if you have them on either side of you.
Yeah.
Okay, I can
So
see
you
it.
could have a tank do it.
I think it's fucking terrible, but I can see it.
It is a terrible idea.
There was like one time where, or like a couple times where I think the DPS died, and I evoked it or some shit and brought it into the boss and fed it, and I think we wiped after though to like whatever the hell. What is it? What's the mechanic? Well, the Protean wave. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
You can also feed those dolls to the tornadoes, right?
Oh yeah.
Can you?
I think I saw a video of
Yeah,
somebody
you
doing
can.
it.
Yeah, if you manip through the tornado or something, you can. It'll feed to the tornado.
Yeah. So, one other thing about the Jag dolls in particular, we did a lot of practice in AADS. That's probably the thing we spent the most time in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a really, really specific controlled DPS phase on the robots. And during that time, we'd even made comments about how good our control was and that we never had push issues, just because everyone was really mindful of it. So that carried over almost directly, one-to-one, in terms of our consistency in dealing with Jag dolls. People just are good at controlling their damage.
Okay.
We never saw, other than I think the first time we saw the end of Brute Justice and Cruise Chaser, we never saw an enrage on that actually got failed. Like we got past that every single time. Thankfully,
Had a couple close calls, and it really
they were
wasn't
close, but they weren't that close.
It's mostly because people stopped doing DPS because they wanted to have it for Alexander Prime.
There's that, yeah.
So I don't know. I guess it just really fights this mentality that's within the community that being a good player is only doing as much DPS as you can.
That's been a problem for a long time. I think the first step of becoming a good player is doing damage. After that, you have to start working on the other aspects. Like Phantom laid it out, played it clear. You have to be consistent. And a lot of people say, well, you can't practice consistency. I don't think that's true at all. You have to practice in a way that bolsters your consistency. There has to be something you can do to enforce good habits and eliminate the bad ones. You know what I mean? There must be something you can do. I think we figured it out, but
doing good damage was actually one of the things this group was weakest at before prog, but we made it a point to practice speed killing and practice parse runs, trying to do high damage to make sure that everybody has a good amount of reflexes and ability to do damage. But it wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing is still the stuff Phantom said. Strategies, consistency. In fact, damage is just it's something you just acquire once and then you have it in your back pocket, like the ability to do really high damage, turn on a switch. Maybe you have to refresh it every tier when the rotations change to make sure you still know what you're doing. I had a really bad habit of prioritizing Broil over Ruin on Scholar, and it took me going through a couple speed runs and checking how I was doing to find out that I need to prioritize Ruin more because it's actually pretty good now. It used to be worth less than half of a Broil in potency, so I would just clip GCDs to get more Broils, but that's not the case anymore, and that was a bad habit I had to throw away, and you just have to refresh that every once in a while.
I mean, if DPS was everything, I wouldn't be here. My damage is trash half the time, and my clear video, whenever it finally goes up, at the very start of Alexander, at the end, that's actually a decent DPS check. I do Soul Eater out of combo in the opener after I hit a pot, and I'm like, well, I guess this is life now. And I had
first Dark Knight, people.
And I also, the Dark Knight opener, I couldn't figure out how to make it work on almost any part of this fight. So I just made my own opener on the fly that is just pressing all the buttons on my keyboard in no order.
Dude, the 7-second pre-pull pot. Yeah, that one.
That sounds like me.
You just press all the buttons on your keyboard.
I'm like, is
there
clear
content?
Yeah, just keep stuff on cooldown. All right. So, other things about this fight, I guess. Are you happy with the way this is? If you look at the other ultimates, it's not designed too differently in the concept, right? There's trios and there's everything else. Do you guys want them to go away from this type of design, or are you pretty happy with it?
You say they let their creative director or whatever in charge of designing let their imagination run free, because they said that the person who designed this took inspiration, and it's clear that they did. But maybe get someone or let them do whatever they want with the next ultimate.
Yeah,
for sure, definitely.
Oh man. All right.
The trios are one of the reasons why it takes so long to prog through.
Zep, I kind of forget you're on the call sometimes, dude. I'm gonna be honest.
Did you hear me earlier?
No, I hear you. It's just like
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
You just
I
don't talk
wanted
too
to
much.
say earlier as well when we talked about the team. I wanted to say that there's actually a lot more talent in this group because, for example, Ara is an OG healer who went caster in 5.0 for the team. And the same goes for Shinaneko, who was also an OG healer going melee. So there was a lot of swapping around.
Yeah, I remember
Hey,
Shin.
alright.
Oh, and Sindov also going healer in 5.0. And
We
now going back
joked
to
about
tank.
we joked about our team name possibly being healer mains at one point because we had like 5 or 6 people who had played healer in the past.
Yeah.
Playing healer makes you a better player. It's the hardest job in the game, man.
We
It
joked
is.
about the NA team at some point being a full-on healer OG team, just swap to other.
Oh,
Playing healer makes you a better player, dude.
it
You
is
see
if you play it
every-
properly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cleese's healer too, man. We got a healers everywhere.
He's a healer, yeah.
Healing in prog is probably like the hardest. It is definitely the hardest thing in the game, but on farm, it's pretty dumb brain dead that it's boring. It's probably why you see so many healers in this game just get so lethargic about the game after a while.
Yeah.
Because prog's really exciting and fun, but on farm, it is the most boring role.
Yeah.
Because you press one button over and over and over and over with no reason behind
clerics, Dad.
Yeah, that's true.
My fingers actually started to hurt when I had to play white mage because all I kept pressing was glare, 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 and then Dia every 30 seconds, and it's
You need a better
repetitive.
button for it if that's making your hands hurt.
I don't know. I use the same finger for all my other stuff, but it's because I actually get to move it and stretch it around in different locations when I play tank or anything else. But on healer, it's just the same motion over and over and over. I might as well just get one of those like water rubber duckies that just hits the button for me at that point.
Oh, you talked about the little things that go back. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, you might as well just get those.
Real quick tangent here. Chat, you guys have been great today. Every once in a while I'll look over and you guys have been on point. So congrats to that, guys. The memes that are coming out of chat's ridiculous. All right. I'm going to ask another question that's kind of more of a sum up question about the difficulty of the fight. Do you guys feel like maybe they made this fight too hard? Or do you feel like this is exactly where they need to be for Ultimate?
Good.
I think that during early progression like this, every ultimate felt the same way, where it feels way too hard. But once strategies are figured out and things are more uniform, you'll find that clear rate increases drastically.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this will be considered one of the easiest after a while.
No.
I guarantee. I
don't think it'll be the easiest because this one is particularly difficult to recover from. Like it's probably the most punishing, but I don't think it's the most difficult to execute.
Okay.
Fair.
Well, I mean, the limit
compare
cut.
Alex Prime phase to Bahamut Prime phase. It's just night and day difference. The trios exist in both of them, but ultimately you can necro your way through Alex Prime. Sorry, through Bahamut Prime. And Alex Prime, you have to play consistently. Typically, if someone dies somewhere, it's a wipe immediately. There's only a few set places in Bahamut Prime where one person dying will actually kill everyone.
Yeah, the health bar of Alexander matters this time. If he's not low, you will not make the check at the end, and if someone dies, you also will not make the check at the end. There's a really high healing and DPS check right at the end of that prime phase to make it to perfect Alexander.
It tests everything. It tests your mechanical consistency because people can't die. It tests your damage because the health bar of the boss matters as well as the burn phase at the end. And it also tests healers. It's a really well-rounded fight in general.
I think overall, if you compare the three ultimates, UCOP is a lot about like mediocre coordination, which doesn't require too much precision, just like a general direction. You was more about reaction and dodging and whatnot, but this one is a lot about precision now. It's not necessarily like, sure, Wormhole is going to take a lot of time for many people, but the earlier phases take a lot of precision, not necessarily mega difficult to execute, but you got to be careful, and if you mess it up, then you get punished.
Okay.
Personal responsibility is probably higher than any other ultimate.
And that being said, should Square Enix keep at where it's at right now, or go up or down a little bit?
Good question.
I think this was pretty good for difficulty wise.
I'm really happy with the difficulty.
The reason I ask that is because we will hit a point, right? I mean, it was kind of scary watching this fight evolve over the last few days because people were getting really, like, you know when raiders get exhausted and they're just tired of dying to the same thing over and over again, and they're just like, I'm done, I don't want to raid, this isn't fun to me anymore? That's what kind of happened during Gordius with a lot of people. And I felt like I was seeing that a little bit with this fight too. But do you guys think that will change a little bit after the next couple of weeks, or?
I mean, it'll change a bit, but I'm pretty sure there are a lot of players out there who made it through UCOB and UWU, but they're gonna have a much harder time with this one just because you can't afford the mistakes. You can mess up on those fights, but if you mess up on this one, you wipe the whole raid, and everyone's gonna know about it too.
Right.
Yeah,
that takes its toll over time.
You really cannot die in Alex Prime. You have to be consistent. You have to do big damage, and then you need to fucking live through Worm. If you can do that, you'll make it.
Okay. So, still good. Maybe we're fine with the way that it's at.
The problem is they have a lot of carryover mechanics from the older Alexander fights, which were notoriously difficult at the time that they were released, and they are really punishing. So,
okay,
maybe some of that carried over.
Yeah, I was happy with it. I mean, I'm not in there, trying to clear it too seriously right now, and so I'm having a real great time seeing all the frustration people are displaying on their streams and everything else. Because, I mean, we ask for this, right? We ask for difficult content, and we're like, please, the game's too easy. We need something that's difficult. And so when people start to complain that things are too difficult, I kind of sigh or roll my eyes a little bit. But I can understand there is a point, right? A point to where it's just not fun anymore. But
I am kind of a masochist when it comes to difficulty and content, and I always want it to be more difficult. But at the same time, it needs to be clearable at the end of the day. But the more difficult it is while still being clearable, the better, like the more satisfaction you get from actually getting that kill. Because that's kind of why everyone does it, right? To get that feeling of finally overcoming it and beating it. Because it's literally the best feeling in this game. That's why people raid.
Yeah.
So the level that they found here, where it is very difficult, but clearable with consistency, and you have to really earn it. That's what I like, and that's, I think, the best sort of balancing that they can find.
Yeah.
I think any harder would be too inaccessible, and any easier would be not as rewarding or fulfilling to kill.
In that way, it's kind of a risk for them, right? I can imagine the developers being a little nervous that they made the fight too hard, and then nobody clears it. But
well,
they did a damn good job of balancing this one, in my opinion. Like it's just right.
Yeah. On a second note, pay attention to what Ayat, where he said, don't take this first clear as a measurement for the difficulty. This might have been really the best performance prog teams have ever seen.
Yeah, I mean...
And then you need to wait until the second clear happens, maybe also a third clear, and then you can sort of compare it better.
And the people who are clearing are spending over 10 hours a day in this fight. And every single day they're in there and they're putting lots and lots of time into this fight. So don't be too disheartened. Don't make it disheartening, I guess, that you're not clearing it as quickly as everyone else. The thing that I also want to say that I enjoy it when the difficulty is hard enough that you're proud you cleared it, right? It feels good to say, hey, I cleared this. It actually means something.
It feels good to know that after a couple of days and no one else has cleared it, you know you did good.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how long it takes for that second clear. We don't know for sure. There's still a lot of teams out there that aren't streaming that could be at spots that they're close to clearing. But, I mean, clearly you guys have done, again, we're here 14, 15 hours past to clear.
Well, you know, I actually, does that be commenting on what Aya said? I think it's kind of nice that, like, one of the competing teams was nice enough to say something like that, like, about our team. I feel like that was really generous.
Especially considering how dominant that team has been. That's huge praise.
Yeah, for sure.
We really appreciate that.
I didn't see it. What happened? Who said what?
Oh, Aya Liz's tweet.
Entropy was what Zeppy was. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, Aya's an awesome dude. I mean, everybody from Entropy is good guys.
Shouldn't have got banned.
Oh,
Can't post links. No links allowed.
Unban me.
All right, hold on. I think you're good. You're good. Moon gotcha. You're good. Entropy. Yeah, I always mess it up. Entropy.
Yeah, you post it then.
Do you want me to relink it? All right. Sure.
Yeah, context.
No,
Are you permitted?
Post it now. So
No, I
permitted.
can't because it.
No, you're
mess-
good. As soon as you're
spam
permitted,
filter.
you're good.
The
Oh,
spam filter because it's identical.
Type something else and then
There you
type
go.
them.
I got
There you go.
there you go.
There you go.
Sophia's modded.
That's
She's
what
he's
he's
all
talking
right.
about.
Yeah, that is the tweet from Aya
Okay.
that he made yesterday when we cleared.
Yeah. And it is awesome to see NA pull in a win. So as someone who is in NA, thank you guys. What was the joke that was said that we might go over? What was it? It's excited to see who makes
Which
Sure.
what NA team?
What
Yeah, what
NA
NA
team
team?
will play
Yo, I
second this
gotcha.
year. I'm also excited to see what NA team is going to play second this year. Rooting for you guys.
That's just Fox talking as usual.
Oh, we
shit.
love this shit talk. It's
Quick
great.
correction, it's NA and New Zealand.
Yeah,
Jesus.
spoiler.
New Zealand isn't a real country. Let's be real.
Oh no.
There's a subreddit called Maps Without New Zealand because they always forget that it exists and they don't put it on
Can,
world maps.
can any of you even point it out on a map? Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
it's to the southeast of
Yeah.
Australia, right?
Yeah, you look at Australia and you're like kind of on the east somewhere over there.
Yeah, I know that's where you're gonna look.
The funniest thing is that country is absolutely fucking beautiful, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
And there's a
Come
lot
hang
of
out. I'm
awesome
lonely, this place is
gamers.
too small.
Didn't they film the Lord of the Rings there?
Yeah,
I know they filmed
It's like that what that country's known for now.
Unlucky.
I mean, it's pretty good movies.
It's true. It's true. Sophia,
I've been NA long enough in this game to consider myself an NA player now. So it's an NA win.
Yeah. I do want to ask that real quick. With that, you do have an increased ping, of course, playing from New Zealand. Do you feel like that affected you in any way?
No, not at all. The server changes in 5.1 were just like icing on the cake now. This game feels absolutely fine.
Shoutouts
I can
to
double
EM
weave.
and Eden Skate. The sacrifice will never be forgotten.
Something changed in 5.1 and a lot of players have noticed it, and responsiveness and the way that the game feels to play now is just infinitely better.
Yeah.
So that with just a VPN and
that's really
free
curious because people have said that. Were there any notes about that anywhere?
No, it was the only thing they said was Eden was changed, like the mechanics, but you can instantly start noticing that everything just felt smoother. Like I have like 13 MS because I live right next to the servers now, and it's still easier for me than ever before. There are times when I think I'm able to triple weave. I know I can't actually triple weave, but it looks like you can.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there was an interview about it, where they said they upped like the general server load.
Yeah, it's
It
much
was
better
basically
now.
like the slow instance fix that made everything update faster.
Yeah, I think high ping ninjas can play the job much easier now. Like I don't know the specifics. Shin could probably tell you, but shit doesn't get all fucked up now. Actually, Fold might be able to tell you because he's East Coast and he plays ninja. So
Yeah. No, I'm East Coast, and pre-patch I could not double weave without a VPN, but now it's pretty smooth. I'm really happy with what they did.
Okay.
yeah, that's true.
Speaking of 5.1,
Mhm.
5.1 was probably the best thing that could have happened to this team.
Really?
We got two of our main jobs just like super buffed.
Hello, Summoner.
Yeah.
Old ninja.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Oh yeah, we had this. Our comp was kind of organized before the patch, and then they just buffed the jobs you were gonna bring. I was like, okay.
Yeah, the melee slot before prog was kind of up for contention, and then ninja things happened, and it's just like, oh, I guess this is what we're doing.
Nice. Okay. We probably should start going into viewer questions and stuff just to make sure we get in to some of those. And there is a couple of questions I want to ask before we get into it. Just a general question. I feel it's good to start off before we get into, because I know it's going to be asked. Might as well ask it right now. What was your diet like? What were you guys eating? What kind of food did you guys have?
I had nothing but turkey sandwiches, a whole bunch of cookies, and carrots and water.
Cookies.
Granola bars.
Cookies.
Too.
That sounds like a mistake.
Yeah, also, I had a little bit of beef jerky and Pocky.
I was really lucky. My housemate
I
would
lost
make
5 pounds.
Oh, my
I
house.
lost 5. Yeah.
My housemate made breakfast every morning, so I'd get up and there'd be food either in the fridge or ready to go. And so I'd grab that, and then I didn't have time to cook for myself, sadly, so I mostly just ate water and granola bars.
You said you ate water.
Yeah, I ate the water. It's delicious, very crunchy. But no, I think staying away from really high sugary stuff, like drinks especially, is probably a good idea. Pretty much keep it to like water, coffee. I don't know what other people did, but that's what I did.
Bananas.
Bananas.
Literally just it's non-stop bananas for like 3 days. You get on that banana train and you never get off.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, very phallic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought about getting on that train.
Mine was chicken Caesar wraps for like 2 days straight. That's all I ate, and water and a couple apples. That's it.
Okay.
Salads in between.
Yeah, I had some chicken wraps. One night I actually got to get some udon, so that was a good break.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Nice, dude.
We actually didn't really take much food reprieves, did we? Yeah.
We don't say that word around here.
I think the longest we ever took off of being an instance was 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, we were.
Yeah,
It was
we didn't take
excluding like
Long.
strategy discussions and all that. It's,
Yeah,
just,
if you
it's
wanted-
just a raw reprieve. It was like 10 minutes tops.
If you wanted to eat, you did it mid-pull.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have it right next to you, you take it. But that's what also made this tier kind of like hard, because there were no breaks, so I could never take a drink. I said it. My bad,
Oh
guys.
my god, why'd you say it?
You gotta
Not
donate
take
10 million
first.
gil to the FC chest. Thanks.
There were no
Absolutely
brief
not.
end raids.
Swear word jar.
Absolutely not. But
Okay.
The B word.
yeah, we because there were no reprieves midway through the fight, you couldn't really take a drink of anything or eat much. So I was personally pretty hungry this raid tier, even though I was filled with cookies.
Yeah, I would have to.
I would not recommend.
I had to like if I wanted like a drink or like I had like a refrigerated coffee or for like a pick me up halfway through. I'd have to like sprint and get it in 30 seconds between pulls. I'd go grab that and then sprint right back to my.
Yeah,
Like,
we're in
we-
a mad rush. We'd like no stops.
We were chain pulling, so when we started, I had about what was it? I think like 960 potions. I used 552 of those throughout all of Prague. So consider that you always use one pot at the beginning of the fight.
We
how
burned
how
through
many
potions.
how often we pulled.
Holy crap, we burned through so many potions.
Shout out to May for making the potions.
Oh,
Thank you,
yeah.
May.
Thanks
Yes,
for the
May.
pots.
He supplied us so many potions and food.
I think I went through 700 grade 2 tinctures.
May and friends, by the way. It was other
Yeah, I
people
think
helping
that
them.
the whole FC was chipping in a bit. It was just
It was
a big team effort.
basically 8,000 potions between us.
Yeah, it was
Jesus.
8,000.
Yeah.
Probably more than that, yeah.
Potions.
Maybe a little more or less, yeah.
All right. Who didn't say what food they ate? Phantom, did you say?
I ate chicken Caesar salads.
Chicken
mostly.
Caesar. Okay.
And also some granola and yogurt.
Granola bars fuel prog. If you eat granola bars during prog, you will be successful.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's 100% true.
Sponsor us.
Just not like a company in particular, just granola bars in general should sponsor you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
the
exactly.
concept of a granola bar.
I
can
got
sponsor.
myself an 18 value pack of Quaker Chewy variety.
Oh my
It
god.
is 90 calories, 90 to 100.
Stop.
Hashtag
Good for the
This
day.
is a sellout right here.
Yeah. Where's the sponsorship money there? Oh jeez. Zep, did you say?
I had nothing. Jokes.
Nothing.
What about Cleese?
The ninth man. Yeah, what does the ninth man do?
I mean, I just woke up and I actually had time to cook my own meals, so
Yeah.
He ate from the confusion he caused on Twitter and Reddit. That fed him.
Consumed it.
Congrats, JP.
Jesus Christ.
Kretz is on Enraged, guys. Cheer for them.
Cleese, did you do any prog yourself during playing Ninth Man, or was
Oh,
it?
actually, I was at this tier. I did something really stupid that I would not recommend. I was juggling my own group's prog with ninth manning. So for like 3 or 4 hours every day, I would basically like have the stream up on my second monitor while I was actually progging with my main group.
Yeah, I did that in UCOB and same thing. I was ninth man for Layla's in UCOB, and it was, I don't recommend it while raiding with your group at the same time.
It's not a good idea.
Jeez.
Feels like shit for both sides. The group wants you to raid more, and obviously the world first or the world progging group wants you to ninth man. So you just feel torn.
I mean,
Yeah, sorry to Cleese's teammates. Sorry about that.
I mean, I thank you for ninth manning for us, but I've done that too a couple times. I would not recommend it to anybody.
For just their mental health.
It's more so that it's boring. You
Okay.
sit there. It can be
Please.
fun to help figure out a mechanic for a group, but once you figure it out, now you get to watch them wipe to it for the next million hours.
Yeah.
Cleese,
And you always think like, oh, I could do that better. Like, why are they messing this up? But you're out here and you can't do anything about it. You can
Yeah.
only sit back and relax until they make it to the next mechanic.
I think when we were chasing Enraged, I was literally just here like, I'm on standby if there's anything. I was like,
So are you like they're doing Enrage right now, and you're just sitting there? Okay, well, let me think about other mechanics that they're doing. Maybe they could do it. Do you think about changing how you guys are doing mechanics while chasing Enrage, or you're like, this is set done, no matter what, we're going, and we're gonna try to get the clear with how we're doing it now?
We would like clean up mechanics that cause deaths, or like talk about them more, how to avoid that. But for the
Try
most
and
part,
increase uptime as well.
Yeah.
We
talk
definitely
about
lost uptime prog final phase for Enrage.
Yeah, definitely.
We had to clean that.
I feel like if you change a strategy too much, it's not good. You have to change it just the right amount. so
There's
that
a
you-
balance. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah, I think you were on to what I was saying.
There's a balance between strategizing for the best strat versus reps, especially with stuff late phase, because you just need to, a lot of times you just need to create comfort. But it's so far into the fight that it's like you could change things, but that's going to reset, and then you'll have to do more reps of the final phase to get comfortable again. There's always
Yeah.
like a struggle between changing strats versus just work with the one we've got and get really good at it.
yeah. For example, like Kyo made a really good slight adjustment to our wormhole strat that made it a lot like safer and cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we were at the brink of just being like, okay, let's just lock down on a strat because we've been changing it so much for Wormhole. We just want to lock down on one so we can get good at it. We keep throwing away these strats after like 2 pulls because we think of something better, and we're just wasting a lot of time.
Right.
But-
So
Yeah.
for some people who might be confused to Ninth Man, everything else, Cleese, what did you do as Ninth Man for this team?
So basically, Ninth Man is basically you're watching you stream an extra pair of eyes for like the team. You're also really focused on like maybe diagramming out strategies while the team is pulling, maybe sometimes helping out with strat, but it's like basically anything that you could do, like anything that the team can't do while pulling a Ninth Man is like the person in charge of doing that.
Okay.
You did a lot of timelines.
Timelines are huge.
Charts.
Yeah.
Like, here's something that happened on screen. Make a chart for this mechanic or this strat so that everyone has a visual representation. And then sometimes they were like, here's another way to do the mechanic or a different permutation of it. Make one for that too.
Every single prog, every tier I've ever played this game, someone at some point will say, how much time is there between X mechanic and Y mechanic? Can I use this, X cooldown on both? That happens every tier, and it's not always easy to answer. You can go back and look, but you'll spend several minutes doing it. A Ninth Man putting out a timeline and being able to just look at the timeline and say that is so big. It's so helpful, especially when you get harder stuff that needs careful mapping.
When you're figuring out things like trios as well, and this goes back to UCOB, being able to have everything diagrammed out is really, really important. Knowing exactly how every mechanic in the phase happens and where it happens and what the variables are. You just need so much data for that kind of stuff. Grand Octet is the historical one where the Ninth Man could carry that mechanic just by diagramming every single set you got, and then you look for the pattern to figure it out.
Okay.
That sort of thing is a big Ninth Man responsibility if they're there for it.
So maybe when you lower your thoughts per second, they go to Cleese?
Oh, maybe we're just giving him our thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of times, especially in Octet, where it's like it's about collecting the data. Where like we struggled with that at a certain point in this tier, where we were trying to figure out what if everything is going on in phases and like get a good diagram together. But in stuff like Wormhole, where things can be so different based on responsibilities, it's hard to collect like every little aspect of that mechanic and what's going on. And a lot of times the Ninth Man is the person who can go back and like look at each person and carefully jot down what's going on and then make a diagram. That could take so much time that the group could keep pulling. Octet was perfect for that. Like a lot of that was about just write down what order the dragons were, write down what order they dove in, try to figure out why they did that.
Okay.
And they didn't, a lot of times the Ninth Man didn't even solve that. They just collect the data and present it later, and then everybody puts their heads together and tries to solve.
Yeah, as a Ninth Man, it's not your job to like solve the mechanics. It's your job to help with information collecting.
A lot of people might think that a Ninth Man is like a tactician. That's what I've been seeing in the chat, but that's like not really it at all.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Charting, data collection, timelining are all
Making sense of whatever data you've collected.
He's the spreadsheet boy.
Did Cleese is known for some things that kind of distract him, like posting on Twitter. Did any of that cause a problem, or was he pretty focused for your team?
I mean, he doesn't have to do anything.
No, not leak, just troll. I mean, he does. I'm assuming. I don't really know. Cleese might not do this, but I'm assuming he has some whiteboard up on the background, and he's like, "All right, so I posted that this team that JP cleared at this time. If I wait long enough, people will forget about it, and maybe they'll, take the bait later on. Maybe someone didn't see it."
I scheduled all of my tweets before Prog, Frosty. You're 100% right. It's all part of my master plan. That's gonna be like revealed to you in 5.6.
Okay. And it's going to be one big explosion, kind of like the end of Shadowbringers with the science and everything else.
It's an entire story arc. Wait for it.
Okay, I'll wait. I won't get myself spoiled. All right, I put off viewer questions long enough. Let's go ahead and ask one here. This was asked a little bit earlier. This is particularly for Sophia here. How was it optimizing Black Mage DPS in this kind of fight, which requires such precise movement?
You're going to see my clear video, and you're going to realize that I played like absolute garbage until it mattered. and that's really what it is. You just play safe. Like the comfort levels that I could achieve in a couple of days isn't huge, but it's enough to get through the earlier phases until we can get to the later parts of the fight where it actually matters, in which case you have to use your brain. Other than that, play safe, because Black Mage does too much damage.
Okay. It makes up for the bad play by doing more damage just naturally, right?
Yep.
All right.
Exactly.
I forgot we might as well do a giveaway too. I'll do another $25 giveaway for Mog Station if people want to do it. And you guys are of course welcome. I don't limit my guests from entering the giveaways. So if this is international, it doesn't matter. You guys can win wherever you live. And so while we're going through these viewer questions, you can also type this in chat. Let me get this going.
Yo, Frosty.
Yeah?
Yo, Frosty, I'll chip in $25. You can give 2 of them away.
2?
Yeah,
you
why
want to
not?
give me? You won
Yeah, why
prog,
not?
and you're like, I'm gonna give $25 away.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, all right. We'll do 2. We'll do 2 then.
There you go.
You gotta tell me what the phrase is that they type in chat though.
What phrase they have to type in chat to enter?
For the first one, yep.
Poggers, dude. It's gotta be the big poggers, dude.
All caps?
Can you make it all caps? Yeah, hell yeah, all caps, dude.
All right, here you go.
Poggers.
Let me do that, and I'm gonna go ahead and announce this giveaway.
It hasn't even started.
It hasn't even started, man. Hold on. Let me make sure. Manage giveaway. Create giveaway. Let me see. Manage. All right. There we go. It's already has so many entries. Holy fuck. All right. There you go. Type in Poggers in chat, guys, if you want to, and you'll be entered in for a $25 Mog Station giveaway, up to $25. You will have to contact me after stream. This is the most I've ever seen in chat before.
So many poggers.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of poggers.
Poggers in the chat, boys.
That being said, let's go ahead and ask this next question. What's your favorite energy drink brand?
Water.
I have never had an energy drink in my life. I do not even know what they taste like.
I had to change what I was doing at my work for a little while, and it required me to wake up at an hour that I needed something. I didn't want to drink coffee for some reason at the time. It was a stupid mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Energy drinks are so bad.
Big fan of Bang.
So terrible.
Big fan of Bang.
Okay.
They don't make you feel like shit after drinking. It's the only one I've drank ever. Bang, that doesn't make me feel like absolute dog shit after I drink it.
Do you guys
Everything else
avoid
just,
caffeine in general towards the end of the day or anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
entirely if possible.
every time I've done prog, whenever caffeine comes up, it's usually what most people have suggested is don't drink it during the morning, don't drink it during the afternoon. If you drink it at night, you sip on it. You don't like chug it down, and do not drink caffeine when everyone else is starting to really get tired and they're not drinking caffeine.
Okay.
Because then you'll be awake and then everyone goes to sleep, but you're still awake.
And then you feel like shit the next day, right?
Yeah, but ultimately, in some ways, it's just do whatever you normally do, and it just works out because you know your body.
Okay,
that's the biggest one. Don't change up your routines too much, especially in terms of what you're eating and drinking, because then you'll just screw over your body.
All right.
Water and cookie.
Very important that when you call the night that you can get a good rest for tomorrow.
Sleep adjustment was that's the harder part.
Dude, that's actually a Lucre quote from way back in the day, that sleep is the strongest raid buff.
It is.
Yeah, it is, actually.
So I live on the West Coast, and I usually have to wake up at somewhere between 6 and 9 a.m. But for this, I have to wake up at 1 a.m., which is ridiculous then. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do this whole thing while working where I'd wake up 1 hour earlier every day, but still go to bed at the same time I normally do. And the thought process was that your body's rhythm would expect you to stay up late and go to bed late because it's already used to that. But you're waking up earlier which will get easier to do every day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've done this, I've been able to actually go much longer than I have in previous tiers. In previous tiers, when I hit like 16 hours, I'm on the floor dead. Like my head slammed into my keyboard. I'm blacking out mid-pull, stuff like that. But
which is most streamers, actually. A lot of streamers are pretty much done.
These past couple of tiers I've done it. It's
stream
pretty
itself.
good.
Sorry, Sinov, I cut you off. But the streamers, they also have the mental burden of actually being streaming and being live as well. So that's got to wear them out too. Right?
Yeah,
you see others doing 18-hour streams, doing blind prog. I can't even.
And then having
how
little
difficult that must be.
TPS.
That's super hard, man. I can't even imagine.
Doing little cuts over and like jokes and everything constantly during the stream, that would kill me. All right, I'm going to announce this one more time. If you guys want to enter in for this attempt of getting a $25 Mog Station item, type in Poggers in chat. If you've already typed it in, typing it in again won't do anything for you. So just type it in if you haven't yet. Let's ask this next question, and then we can worry about that giveaway. Okay, so I guess this is a good question to ask. What's your thought process when you guys meet a mechanic that's completely foreign to your team that you haven't seen before? How do you start to tackle that?
Look at our footage that we obviously get, break it down, look what happens to, assuming we have 8 alive, look what person gets what mechanics.
Okay, the very first 2 things that you look for are sets of mechanics that target like roles, like tanks get this, healers get this, DPS get that. That's very common in the game. And then the next thing that you look for is range baits, like the closest players to this get this mechanic, or the furthest players get that, or stuff like that. Range and like debuff sets or sets of mechanics on roles, super common in the game.
Okay.
You need to often look at like as well, what are the damage values for everything? Like, can you consider this to be a failed mechanic, or did somebody succeed but the value was messed up? And then you can sort of figure out, oh, was this actually a stack mechanic? Who got hit multiple times? If they got hit multiple times, well, that probably represents something where you got to spread out.
Am I getting a generic damage down or vuln up stack? That means I probably fucked something up.
Yeah, SC's pretty predictable in the way they do content. So if you've played enough of the game, you can kind of start getting in their heads a little bit as to how everything works.
It's
pretty quickly.
What Shin said though, like this is actually one of, probably not the first tier, because I think we've talked about it before, but very few tiers I've been in groups where it was mandated that everybody have some form of being able to watch their footage, like being able to rewind and look over what just happened. Because with all 8 people, being able to see 8 different POVs and be able to make screenshots or GIFs of what happened in their POV, it helped us really analyze mechanics from like all different angles whenever it happened. And that's a huge tool. Like the ability to do that is massive.
We helped a lot on Wormhole, because like everybody has their own, with the strat we used, everybody has their own role and their little things here and there. So you're really focused on it, and you can't see the other person on the other side of the screen. So if for my case, I have I have a role that completely isolates me on the other side of the room, and you have a 1 in 8 chance of getting that, and you're not going to know how to handle that until you actually get that 1 in 8. So that's going to take forever probably, and then it's your first time, you're probably going to fuck it up.
Right.
I can clip my video, upload it someplace, show it with everyone else, and be like, this is how you have to handle this mechanic.
Yeah, we did that a lot for Wormhole.
Much easier.
We did that a lot for Wormhole. We had different people saying, okay, well, this is how you do this number. This is how you do this number for the next people to get it. And we would all take a glance at it, make sure we had a rough idea so that we wouldn't repeat the mistakes of somebody else when they fucked it up or got it right.
That was broken because the way the puddles configure, there's basically 2 versions of each mechanic. There's the 2 where there's a 2 where you're not near a puddle, and there are 2 where you are near a puddle. There's a 4 where you're near a puddle, etc.
Yeah, Brute Justice sometimes has a puddle near him, and sometimes he doesn't, and vice versa for Bruce Chaser.
So
and
basically,
just mechanics.
Yeah, there's like with our strat, there's like 16 different there's 16 different possible things you could be doing. So having a POV for each one helps so much.
Okay. All right. So we're getting some really good answers on these questions. And we have a lot of viewer questions here. So we could take this for quite a while. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how. I did say the quoted time for the show was between 2 and 10 hours.
I got all day.
Okay.
I have no plans. I'm on vacation.
First
from work.
10-hour MogTalk.
I took 2 weeks off for Prague,
Oh,
so I got quite a bit of vacation left.
Okay. Let's go ahead and give away this giveaway here. Let me do this real quick. So let me draw a name. All right, I'm not familiar with the name, but it's ENJOYYY. You have to ping me. You'll have to ping me to make sure that you actually are there and you exist. If you don't ping me in some sort of amount of time, I will assume you don't exist. Okay. You'll have to message me on Twitch, or you can contact me on Twitter or email if for some reason that goes wrong after the show, and we'll get you your item. And then later, we will do another giveaway sponsored by Brian. So
You're welcome.
yeah. So hold tight for just a second, guys. Let's go ahead and get into this next question. We'll start that giveaway after a question or two here. I do think this is an important thing to ask. What do you think the maximum number of limit cuts in an ultimate should be allowed?
0.
I'm going to go with a 0 too.
Hate that mechanic.
It is a frustrating mechanic, and it's very punishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very suitable for an ultimate because it forces you to be in the right position. It forces you to be in the right facing.
I don't want Ultimate to devolve back into Savage. It has to be hard. It should be punished.
When our strat involves like hitting arm's length to counter the knockback on the limit cut cleave, it's like, what is this intended? Like,
And every single position has a different timing at which you need to press your shortcast, and every single position has a different tell about when you need to do it. So it's, oh god, fuck limit cut.
Yeah, Arthur's would agree.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been harping on it for a while. I'm glad they put it in. It's awesome that it worked out the way it did.
It's awesome, especially because it's like traditionally it's very simple. It's like, well,
Yeah.
he's a slash and a dash, okay, not two. Now you throw it in between a ton of other shit, and it becomes the most horrible thing to
Obnoxious.
deal with. It is. We call it the Satan mechanic in Prog.
Yeah, but what if in Ultimate they changed up limit cut so looking at him didn't prevent knockback? Instead, it just knocked you back every time. You go back to the classic A11S prog,
Okay.
where everyone doesn't know how it works, and you have to come up with this crazy cross the room strat.
Do you think it would even be possible?
Oh yeah, probably possible. It would just suck.
Okay.
It would be really annoying.
Jesus. No, that gives me a headache thinking about it. Let's go on to the next question. When release... Okay, this is a good question for people who might not be aware. When do you plan on releasing your clear? Are you waiting till World 3rd? Or are you waiting a week? Or what's your set time?
I'll release it on Tuesday if no one clears.
I think
it hasn't been a 2nd or 3rd. I think it's going to be Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should wait till other people clear,
Yeah, but you're
or
contrarian.
until
We don't care already.
Yeah,
streamers
Well, I
start
kind
seeing
of-
what we've seen.
I kind of think that we should wait until 2nd.
Yeah, I'm actually with Sindolf on this one. I think we should not do it until there's a 2nd.
Oh, okay. So we have a little bit of different opinions here.
I want
Yeah,
to see
we
the
hadn't really
streamers'
sorted it out.
reactions to our video. They'd be like, "What?"
There's that too.
That'll be satisfying.
I mean, I think somebody will have cleared by Tuesday, but who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, ultimately,
might-
it's your decision, the team's decision. You guys can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, perfect Alex is a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole fight, every ultimate has been an absolute journey to progress through, and spoiling that journey feels really disingenuous to other people who are competing. Even if they're not competing, a lot of people take time off to do hardcore prog just so they can experience the fight blind, and I wouldn't want to take that away from anyone.
Yeah. So when I started doing like actual prog in 14, it was probably around Final Coil, and back then people had the whole thing of, oh, we're not going to release videos for until a certain amount of groups clear. And then every tier since then it's gone shorter and shorter, where unless you're either a top, at one point it was you had to be a top 10 clearing group in order to actually see mechanics blindly. Then as time went on, it turned into you have to basically be top 3 to see mechanics blindly. And that's just, I think 14's a lot of fun when you deal with it in a blind scenario.
Oh yeah,
But
you
it's
could also
not
just-
when everything's handed to you.
If you're not racing, then you could just elect to not watch a video.
I mean, everybody sees something, they hear
temptation.
something from a friend. It never it never works.
Yeah, as soon as the video's out, you're basically like, it's compulsory to not hold your group up and go look at it. So you are kind of ruining it, even if they decide they don't want
Yeah,
to.
and it's
Golden
very.
Bahamut. Sorry, carry
Go
on.
on.
I was
No.
saying Golden Bahamut was such a treat at the end of UCOB, right? And there was only very few people who had actually who got to see that before a vid was out.
No, I agree. It makes a lot of sense to hold, and it's just pure respect that you guys have for the race and everyone out there trying to just prog and want to actually have a real prog experience, because that's why people take off work. That's why people, you know, say, hey, I'm going to sit here and just dedicate my next week to clearing this fight, because they want to experience it this way.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
The only problem I have is that some people that, like, for example, I think a group that took like world second or third, like, instantly post a video, which is what's caused all this problem.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you kind of
Like,
should.
they're clout chasing, and it's annoying.
Yeah, I feel like you should respect the world first group. If they get it first, if they get it first, they should be the ones who decide when to release the content. In my opinion, that's
Within
how I
reason,
feel.
right? If they're like, oh, I don't want to release it for like a year.
Oh yeah,
but,
within
yeah,
reason, naturally. They're not gods.
Yeah.
They're like, can we? If they ask, or like they go to the world second group, like, hey, can we wait a little bit? You know, can we do it this day? And then, you know, all that shit. So.
Pretty sure that mostly came from the JP teams clearing. When they clear, they just instantly.
That wasn't the case in
The good
Final
old
Coil, but I
days.
think in Gordius, the third JP team just cleared and then instantly released.
Yeah, I remember seeing a clear in Gordius of a group that just, they skipped the dolls and they did sack strats, if I remember right, and it's like, oh, okay. And then I remember in Midas, I think people, one of the teams released a video, so that kind of forces the world first team to do it.
Yeah.
And that's like part of where the trying not to get spoiled thing comes from. Because I had just gotten to Gavel at that point, and the moment we get to Gavel, a video is put up and it's solved for us. And that's just the point of Gavel, is figuring it out.
Right.
Imagine taking time off work and you're progging really hard. You know, a team gets world first and then they just post the video. You took all that time off work to enjoy prog, and then a team posts the video. Now you're like slog, and now it's a slog because it's solved. You feel like shit. You feel like terrible. I mean, in my personal opinion, that's how I
Yeah,
feel.
because not only did you lose, you now have to replicate their strat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
not fun. Not fun at all.
All right.
Takes all the joy out of it.
We'll go into another question here, a little bit lighter. Are you guys ready for all the memes that will come from Perfect Legend?
Yeah, the perfect legend. I don't know how I feel.
How do you guys feel about that
Legend, by the
title?
I was hoping for the timeless legend perfect personally.
I'm not following the memes.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe I'm
It's just Legion, by the way, means
Legend,
probably.
by the way, yeah.
Gotta have
Perfect
Paladin,
Legend, by the way.
UCOB sword, Uwu shield, perfect legend title, and that's how you know you're a perfect legend.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is that considered a gatai?
I don't know what Gatai is.
Gatai! Combine!
It's like big robot the anime stuff where they all combine.
Oh,
into one
that makes
bigger robot.
sense. You guys all have anime icons, and
Yeah.
I mean, we play Final Fantasy 14. Come
It's
on.
Final Fantasy. What the hell
it's
is
true.
wrong?
These games.
It's true. It's true. You know, I
It's
can't.
literally a game made in Japan. Hello? Learn the language.
Weeb gamers.
Leave. All right, that's fair. You got me. Okay, this is a quick question about best tank. Do you guys know what the best tanks for this fight are, or is it really whatever?
It's not even a question.
Really?
Dark Knight is insane for this fight. Yeah.
Really?
I personally, okay, this is my personal opinion. I didn't really find too many spots I could reliably use wings, to be quite honest. I think there's like one spot before, like in the after Wormhole, it's like decent if you're behind and healing. Besides that, Paladin isn't like required. I don't think. Dark Knight
God
is just
damn.
So broad though, and it covers so many bases that
I
It
didn't
is.
use wings much at all.
We didn't, but we did. One thing I did do is there's a lot of positioning stuff you can do with triple range where Paladin's nice because I mean I lose auto attacks, but in Balanced Discord will kill me for this. But positioning early to be in position to take. Well, when you see our strat, you'll see it for Brute Justice and Cruise Chaser. But I leave the boss to be in a position in time, but I'm in the middle of my Holy Spirit window.
Mm-hmm.
So
you guys,
how are you?
Go ahead.
Hold on. How are you not mentioning the hollowed ground progression steps? Like we had so many moments where we like wiped.
It didn't work this time.
We had so many motions where we were like wiping, and then Brian just ran around alone with hollowed ground and clemencies and lived for like days. That didn't happen too much, but early on it happened a bunch.
So it actually happened the least of any tier because so many things went through hallowed ground.
Early it
But it
was
still happened.
Early it was fantastic for seeing stuff, but later because when you fail, it immediately kills you regardless of HG, regardless of immunity. That sucked.
Can we also talk about? Yeah, can we also talk about damage values in this fight?
Sure.
Where you can't LB cheese a lot of shit. You can't tank LB to see mechanics because it does 10 million damage to you.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Flat out, yeah, it goes way. It's way over cap.
Which is good. Good, right? This is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it stops you from zombieing through to see more. There's a few times we were able to do it, but it was like either like sheer luck or like some weird thing happened, like where they were just I don't really understand how it even happened, but.
So I would say Dark Knight is definitely the best tank for this fight.
Yeah.
It brings so much to the table. There's a lot of magic damage all over the place. TVN basically eats one auto attack from the boss because they hit so hard.
TVN is busted for this fight.
It's just a really good class for this fight.
That's so depressing to hear that, man, to be honest with you, because it was just like that back in Creator, dude.
It is Alexander.
Yeah.
I mean, Paladin's not
Dark
bad.
Nine, baby.
Monk just got nerfed.
Nice, but I've been thinking about it, and it's like I feel like I don't understand Gunbreaker enough to actually comment on it. But I think
I feel like
actually do a lot of damage on this fight. And if you take a warrior, your DPS check will be fucking trivial.
I feel like if you have a Dark Knight, I feel like if you have a Dark Knight, your other tank can kind of just be whatever. I mean, it's probably better that it's a Paladin or a Gunbreaker, but like I don't think it really truly matters that horribly much.
Okay. That's a pretty good answer to it. All right, so now everybody knows the meta is Dark Knight and whatever for Alexander Ultimate. Okay.
I mean, you can pretty much take whatever you want as the second tank. I would take a Dark Knight, absolutely. Your second one, take whatever you really want for it.
Okay.
But that Dark Knight is just useful.
Honestly, I feel like this. I know I said stuff about jobs earlier. I feel like this Ultimate's accessible to pretty much every job. There's no real exclusions. Like I was harping on Astro earlier, but I mean, you can take anything.
I mean,
it'll be fine.
I think Warrior feels really shitty, or is going to be in Brute Justice and Cruise Chaser. Like, it's just not gonna feel good. You can use TVN every 15 seconds versus like your 25 on Raw Intuition. It's just stupid.
Okay.
Like, you TBN like crazy because it's always going to proc. It will never not proc.
Yeah.
The class offers nothing now that it can't actually heal itself and do things correctly until you get to Alexander. Then it actually is useful. But until then, you're dead weight, in my opinion.
Jeez.
I guess the one argument for bringing Paladin over the other tanks is Hallowed Ground. It is far and away the best
Absolutely
tank immunity, without a question. It's really powerful. Keo isn't he's not wrong in any sense of the word when he says that it is really useful for prog.
When we wanted you to map your hollowed to a Tankbuster, I could feel your sadness. You're like, but I want to use it to prog.
Yeah.
You guys wanted to use it on auto attacks at one point.
Yeah, because
Like,
it kept wiping there.
Yeah, just HG the auto attacks.
Yeah, but I mean, there was other things you could do.
All right, Brian. Since you're sponsoring this next giveaway, what's the phrase now? I can't be the same one that you had before.
Good question. I'll let one of my teammates take this.
W.
Keck.
Yes.
You want to do Keck W?
Keck
W.
So KEKW.
Yeah, all caps.
All caps. All right, hold on.
Oh god, I fucking hate that emote.
I love it.
It's great.
You guys are memers.
The best emote on Twitch.
There we go. We got it rolling now. If you guys want a chance at winning a $25, up to $25 at least, Mog Station item, go ahead and type that into chat. I've never seen my chat so horrible. So great, so wonderful. Sorry.
BTTV emotes could even be more horrible.
I need to get them set up. I'm just real lazy about it. We'll ask some questions while that spamming's going along. So we talked about energy drinks earlier. What is your favorite brand of bottled water? Do you have one?
Aquafina.
My favorite brand of water is just getting a water filter.
Get my water from my fridge. A water filter.
Yeah.
I mean, I used both. I bought
There's
some
just
water
something-
bottles, and then I also have a filter.
There's just something about filtered water, man. It's just good.
Good old filtered water, straight from the tap.
You know, it's really funny. Unrelated.
Yeah.
My computer took a crap right before. Well, it didn't take a crap, but I couldn't record footage. Going back to the recording thing being required, my computer could not record footage without losing power, and I still am not 100% sure why. So, the day before Prague, I took a trip over to my local Costco and purchased a PC. It was very expensive.
Okay.
So shout out to Costco for sponsoring my Prague. Thank you.
Sponsor it.
Imagine paying to raid.
Imagine paying to raid.
I mean, you guys pay to raid every day with a subscription and internet and everything, right? You're always paying. You're just paying for a computer now. Cleese, what is your favorite Wait, should I ask this?
Hold on, what is the question?
2HU? What's 2HU?
Oh, Toho. My favorite Toho.
Oh.
I mean,
That's easy.
It's easy. It's Reimu. The second one is a Kagero.
Why? That's such an obvious question though.
Yeah, what the hell if you know Cleese at all? You know it's Reimu, of course.
My Wi-Fi is named Reimu.
Cleese,
I really thought you were gonna say something completely different when you said H.
Oh my god. Cleese, I still have that picture in FanFest when we were up in the Airbnb. I have the picture of you holding Reimu with a mug out towards the strip. Oh my god.
Picture.
I love that picture. I wish I had been a little more careful taking it so it was clear.
Okay.
Fuck.
All right. Next question here is actually about healing. Was this the hardest fight for you guys to have to heal?
I'll let Rami answer that one.
Okay.
In certain ways, yes. Like the fact that the first two phases is basically 4 autos instead of the typical one changes the damage quite a bit. But in terms of just like grade healing stuff, it's pretty similar to all the other ultimates at least.
Okay. Was there a lot less pressing glare?
Probably at first, just because prog.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think in later farms it'll be pretty much the same as ultimates, the other ultimates.
Okay. So not too bad. Not too terrible.
Nah, it's not like super hard or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, I didn't think it was super hard, but I like the way they engage the healer. There's a lot of stuff that's like very specifically an interesting healing challenge, like the little heal on limit cut you have to do just before the J kick.
Mm-hmm.
At first it was just like, oh, that actually hurts, and oh, we actually have to quickly get this heal out, or we die.
Mm-hmm.
The photon, like needing shields at the beginning of Brute Justice and Cruise Chaser. Like, I like those little things that are just consistency checks. I mean, I wiped Dust to Photon a couple times, and I was super sad about it, but I like that there was all that responsibility. And it didn't feel too challenging or hard. It's just fun.
Well, you guys don't have to be sad about any kind of wipes that you guys caused for the group because you got world first, right? There's nothing to be sad about anymore.
Yeah.
Well, we could have got world first faster.
Yes, exactly. We actually told ourselves several times through prog, it was like, don't worry about other groups. We're racing the perfect version of ourselves. This race is, we're basically competing with the perfect version of each and every player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So how fast can we possibly kill this fight?
Okay.
Basically what we were telling ourselves the whole way.
It was like we're doing pretty good. What is it, like 16 hours? Since we killed it?
It's yeah, you guys killed it 17 hours. 17 hours ago, I think.
Yeah, when did we kill it? What time was it?
It was like 11.
Yeah, it was like
26.
11:26.
Yeah, it was 2 in the morning.
7:26 a.m. UTC.
It was 2 in the morning.
And now it's 20 minutes past midnight UTC.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So like 17 hours.
Yeah.
Soon 18.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're getting close to it. Yeah.
Oh, we could have killed it even faster. Feels bad, man.
I am sorry, God.
No, I'm talking about the run where we had 0 dust and we wiped out 1%.
Yeah, we could have killed it there.
That was
Unlucky.
That feels bad.
When you forget to push buttons.
When you don't have enough gauge for Living Shadow, but you're stuck in Delirium.
It was the
Party
tenacity
switch goes
pants.
up. It was the moment I put on the real pants. I'm like, okay, we're going from the tenacity pants to the depth pants. We cleared next pool.
Oh boy.
Or like next time we got there.
So this next question is actually comparing games here. Some of you guys have familiarity with WoW rating and everything else. How would you compare this to some of the fights within WoW? Like, in enjoyability overall, I guess, for yourself.
Who plays WoW?
It's Fia, right?
That's a question. Ara plays WoW.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't world prog WoW, and so I'm like really biased here because, of course, when you're blind progging something, it's just so much like cooler to take in because you're seeing it for the first time. You have to solve it. Whereas when I rated in WoW, it's just, the fights are already there in your dungeon journal. You know what the bosses do.
Mm-hmm.
There's no surprise. So definitely enjoy Final Fantasy rating more.
Okay. World prog wise, definitely better. And what about just fight overall enjoyability?
They're very different games. Like Final Fantasy is all about consistency checks, like making sure you don't mess up the mechanic because the punishment is just dying, like getting one shot.
Mm-hmm.
Or WoW is like mostly execution, like a lot of execution in WoW fights when it comes to like DPS checks and healing checks.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna do the giveaway now, guys. Hold on, let me draw. Where is the button? Pony Fartsu. Pony Fartsu, your name is drawn.
W.
W.
Pony Fartsu, ping me so I know that you exist. There you go. I saw the name. I'll get with you along with our other winner after the show today. We'll get you. You're up to $25 Mog Station item.
That's a good Twitch name.
Yeah, that was pretty good. All right, let's ask a couple more viewer questions here, and then there's a few final questions that I want to go through with you. Or we can ask all these viewer questions if you want. Jesus Christ. I don't know. No, this looks like a bad question.
I got a question for you. What makes a bad question?
When I look at it, I'm like, is there a risk of something being not desired within me saying this question?
Let me see the question spreadsheet.
Yeah, that sounds like the questions you should be asking.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sophia, this question's for you then.
Uh-oh.
You seem like a chill dude. How come there's a mixed feeling towards you from the community from Australia and New Zealand? Is there?
Is there?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
Where's this
fairly
source?
active in the community here, so I wouldn't know. It's news to me.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. So that's why I was like, is there really something there? Or is that just some So yeah, this is a question like, I don't have any context for this. I don't really know. Because you almost came on our show with, oh, maybe that's it. Maybe they hate you because you didn't come on. Yeah.
Fuck.
You idiot. You screwed up your reputation.
I have 2 whole nations hating me now because I slept in.
Yeah.
That's it. Done.
I don't know. That's just a weird question I saw in there. I was like, let's see. I'm trying to make sure. I'm reading these because sometimes I get questions where I get tricked into saying things that I shouldn't be saying. And so I have to read through them first before I ask them. Oh, okay. So this is about healers again, real quick. What was the hardest part for you guys to heal through? And what made you guys decide to meld piety?
Probably the run back from.
I mean,
I never changed my melds. I just knew what I wanted to meld and went with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always, whenever I'm going into blind prog, I've always melded piety. Well, for a long time, just so that I could raise people and not just be dead on the ground, because I have no MP.
Okay.
So it was always for the sake of having MP, and also I'm a bit forgetful about my lucid. That's probably my weakest point as a healer. Sometimes I forget, I'll miss like a use, and it's just a crush for me to not. I'd rather have a little less crit or debt, and have MP still to keep going. And then sometimes I'll switch a mid prog like between days if I feel like I have too much MP. But I like piety. A lot of people look at my piety and they're like, why do you have so much MP?
The JP blogs that track all the gear that I've seen, there's a ton of feedback just wondering why you guys have so much piety specifically.
They're out of mana. They're useless.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like
I cast
you're
a lot
going
of
to
Adlo. What do you
you're
want
going to
from me?
overheal throughout all of prog anyway, because you don't want to die. So you just
I feel
need mana to do that. If you go with the current best in slot sets for like either healer, you will just run out of mana in no time. It's actually just dumb. So don't do it. I remember I even asked in balance for like, oh, I need a best in slot for this amount of mana. Well, this amount of piety, and people just look at you funny. Like, why would you ever do that? That's dumb. You don't need that much.
Well, it's because people don't ever look at like stuff like that. I feel like there's an emphasis placed on damage over.
They're used to being able to map everything out and then using a gear based on that. But in prog, you don't know what the fuck is coming.
Yeah.
But imagine going into the J-Wave path, 0 piety. And you just came off a death. If you just got rezzed off a failing wormhole, you're dead. It's instant wipe.
Yeah, it happened to us once when I messed up.
Yeah, and it's also just in prog. And I'm not saying I always did this. In fact, I specifically failed at this in the last phase when we were prog. But in general, when we're going into something unknown, I want to have shields up. Just basically between every mechanic that does damage, I want a sucker, and that gets really expensive really fast. And you end up just sitting on low MP, and you're just, when you're starting to trade energy drains so that you can keep shields up, it starts to get really dangerous. And then one death or unexpected burst heal and you're out of resources. I'd rather just have the extra
basically
safety.
If you're going into the unknown, build piety. Once it's known, you can switch to whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. And I've remelded off of piety during farm.
Okay.
A lot of our MIT setup is also based around not knowing what's coming up next. Where we have like a system you could, I don't know, like me and Sinov have a system where one of us uses reprisal first, and then like
though?
blind prog. I feel like we do. I feel like it's
I don't.
expected.
Not anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, now that we've seen the phase, obviously we use it in the same
Well,
spot.
no, like
but-
I just kind of was like, I kind of just forgot and never really paid attention to anyone. I was just like, you know what, I'm reprisaling this.
Because we don't have to think about it anymore. We practice so much together. I feel like it just kind of comes naturally.
Okay.
But there was a first part to the question. I don't remember what it was though.
Oh, I wanted to say like.
What was the hardest part to heal through?
In terms of the hardest part, there was nothing really hard in terms of just. I like to compare everything back to Hello World. Hello World and AlphaScape was the first time in a while where I actually got angry at how hard it was to heal. I was like, I am literally throwing every tool in my kit at this mechanic, and people are still dying to damage. And I could not, like, it was frustrating to learn how to map that out. There was nothing like that in this Ultimate. So everything I would say is like the hardest part, it's not really that hard, and like compared to things like Hello World. But it was fairly consistent. Like there's stuff like in Nisi phase where you're moving around so much, having to do all these motion mechanics, and then the tanks are eating 30k autos constantly, and it can catch up to you really quickly. Where you're like, oh shit, the tank's about to die, and Raimi would have to blow his benediction, so he wouldn't have it for Living Dead later, and I'd kick myself because I lost track of the healing. But that's just more of a juggling issue.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like Hello World 2 is like, I know exactly what was happening, and people would still die even with all the prep. And that was what I call difficulty. That's like hard healing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So I hope that explains that a bit.
Right.
But you still clench during J-waves.
Mm-hmm.
You do, but it's not really hard. And once we got comfortable with it's more like you worry someone's gonna miss a cure 3 and get spiked down all of a sudden, and it did happen once. But in general, it's not that hard. There's not that much damage there.
I think in terms of hardest skill-wise, it is the Brute Justice Cruise Chaser phase, just because it is a juggling act. But all the other parts are like, you once you know the damage, you know what you're gonna have to do, so it's not a big deal.
Okay. To go off the materia just a little bit more here, Sophia, is there a reason why you have crafting and gathering materia in your weapon?
Yes, it's so I can control my rotation.
Okay, gotcha. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would always think that I would put some sort of like fire resistance or some sort of ice resistance in there, like level 1
They
stuff.
removed it.
Oh, it's completely gone now?
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh,
you
no.
can't. You really need that water resistance for living liquid. They need to bring it.
All right. Let's see if I can find another one. This is for you, Zep, I guess. Was the Star Wars intro made hastily after the clear, or was it made before with fingers crossed that you'd get world first? How quickly did you make that again, Zep?
I made that today.
Yeah, it was made today. Zep isn't counting his eggs before they hatch, right?
I asked the team after they cleared if they wanted in. I said yes. And I wrote one.
They said make it
Best
so, and I
intro,
made it.
Best intro.
All right. Here's a good one. What's your favorite brand of sock to poop in during prog?
Send off
Toilet.
All my socks have holes in them.
Oh
Unfortunately.
no! It's gonna get everywhere.
Oh, jeez. Okay, let's see if there's any serious questions here. I don't know. Okay. Well, I mean, you never really... I'll ask this anyways. Were you ever sure at any point during prog that you were going to be the first in the world to clear it?
No.
We
Not
tried.
really.
No. Like we said before, we tried to like avoid those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just only focused on what we were doing. Anytime that got brought up, we like just kind of shut it down and said, "Just think about us."
There was a point in I don't remember where we were, but there was a point where the discussion came up. I think it was on like day 2, where we were talking about what streamers were at, where groups were at. The couple times when groups were like a step ahead of us. That one time the streamer had seen J-Kick and we hadn't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Where we were talking about other groups, and I think it did more harm than good. And yeah, we shut it down and we didn't want to talk about it anymore.
So. One thing actually that's very common in procs that I've seen is like, especially the very early on days, no matter in what group you are or how good you are, you will struggle 100%. You will fall behind some sort of but like in the end, what will make you get further is being consistent and keep going. And that's literally it. So struggling is very normal. Falling behind is very normal. Goal is just to keep going.
We also, I remember from Uwu Prog, we actually got the Awoken strategy for Titan from Mr. Happy's stream. At that point, we hadn't 100% locked it down. I know we didn't win Uwu, but, you know, yeah, eyes on other streamers, you can actually get info that helps you, even if you're behind, and then catch up and do pretty well.
Yeah, of course. The same was...
Predation? What strategy you say?
It was for predation, I think.
No, it was predation, right?
Wait, what? No, I thought we did not awaken Titan exactly until.
No, we had Titan. We had a theory, but we couldn't execute it. And then when we woke up, the JPs actually did exactly what we were thinking.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, this is what you have to do.
Yeah, we took it from the JP people as well. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Everyone did.
The question was what? Were we worried about not being first?
Yeah.
For me personally, about
actually,
4 or 5
sorry.
hours before we.
It wasn't were you worried about being first. It was were you sure you were going to be first?
Well, this is kind of the same answer then.
Okay.
But when we were pushing for the kill, and someone said, maybe we should call it, wake up and kill it, I immediately thought we're going to fucking lose if this happens. And I was just freaking out. I thought that every other team in the world was right on our heels and we were just game over at that point. So I'm glad we pushed, but it's also, I was still too worried about other teams.
Okay, so keep going, sorry.
But the short of it is that I was never sure that we were going to win. I don't think anyone was.
Yeah. You don't know until you're done.
Yeah. I mean, we have history with that exact thing happening, like sleeping.
Creator flashbacks.
Creator and flashbacks, man. Yeah.
It did feel like we were playing like really solid though, but
yeah,
I didn't want to have that feeling like, you don't want to think maybe because the other team's gonna be around your heels. You never know.
Yeah, with this group in particular, like there was a moment in time where, especially on the second day specifically, which is after we saw a little bit of Cruise Chaser Brute Justice, like I think it was halfway through the day where I was like, what is happening? Like we are flying. Like, we are fucking flying through this shit. Like it was crazy. I've never ever experienced that before.
Yeah.
I honestly thought every single day we were throwing, to be quite honest. Every day we were throwing, like we make it to Wormhole and I'm like thinking, Jesus Christ, like this is the mechanic. We're done. Like we're going to be working on Wormhole and the JP streamers are going to pass us again. Entropy is going to be clearing when we're in the middle of Nisi. Like
I think it actually took some stress off. Those worries when Cleese started making the jokes about, JPs have already cleared it. That actually was a bit of a stress reliever for us.
That fucking helped me
because it made it into not such a serious thing worrying about other teams clearing because we knew it was kind of a joke.
I mean, Lucrezia is still on Enraged right now. You have to be careful.
Exactly. Yeah, then we would just be like, oh, they already killed it. Like, Entropy already killed it. Lucrezia already killed it. It's over. Like, we're just racing ourselves now.
Right. Here's, I do want to ask this question before I forget too much about it, because there's a pretty wholesome question that I just want to ask. I feel like this is relevant to everyone who does anything with content with other people. How do you prevent the failing feeling you get from when you start to get nervous and you fail more, from that like snowballing and you feeling worse and worse because you're messing up, and then that causes you to mess up more? Is there any way that you prevent that from happening or try to alleviate?
I personally try to I try to have really good confidence throughout all of it. Think to myself, I've done this stuff before. I don't really need to think about it. And just don't care. Like if you just don't care about messing up or anything at all, like just remove all desire from yourself.
I know that
you don't get anxious then.
There's several players I can name off the top of my head that when they mess up, they start hating themselves, and it immediately reflects on not only their attitude but their play. Like instantly, the moment they fuck up, there's just a massive change in every single aspect of themselves and their play, and it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's just
no good.
It's kind of just self-awareness. If you play lots of games, you'll know that people just go on tilt, and recognizing when you do and knowing strategies to get yourself out of that. And it will differ from person to person.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's subjective. Every person handles that sort of feeling differently. For me, I have really big problems with self-doubt. I have always. The way I built myself out of that was building a past of succeeding at something at all and being able to pull from that the confidence to keep trying. You know, little steps, like having a group where everyone thought I was so fucking amazing, little casual group at the beginning, and then building up from there and being like, well, this group thinks I'm really good and I believe in them, and then taking the next step. And then as you keep progressing, you build like a staircase for yourself going up of confidence. And whenever you first start to falter, you just lean back on the past successes, and build your confidence from there.
Okay.
Yeah, but make no mistake, getting out of tilt is very hard.
Yeah, and everyone does it differently.
I think a big one to answer the original question is pulling quickly after a while, because instead of giving that person like time to dwell on their mistake, you just instantly pull again, and their mind is off of it because they're focused on the pull again.
Hit the reset button.
It's also efficient because you're pulling more quickly.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. That helped us big time this time. We wasted very little time between pulls.
All right.
When we messed up on Wormhole, like I didn't even know, and I didn't even care who did it. I'm just like, okay, let's pull.
Yeah.
There was very little doubt within this team. I've noticed there was never any sort of negativity towards other people when mistakes happen, because everyone does make mistakes in prog. It's part of learning.
I think I asked a few times why people died there, because I wanted to make sure, at least for me personally, I want to make sure that I never made that same mistake.
Oh yeah, of course. Identifying mistakes and knowing how to avoid them is important, but it's never blame. It's more just accountability.
Right. So, yeah.
This is a really good follow-up question for this too. Sophia, how successful is your Tinder profile, and have you thought about putting Lux as a profile pitch?
Christ. We'll just skip that one, thanks.
I'm still waiting to get matched with Sophia on Tinder.
All right.
Send it to local area at FanFest. Use the lemon strat.
I got some questions I want to ask myself, and there's some questions I don't know if we went over from Twitter questions here that we were asked. So we're going to go into some of those questions quick before we finish off the show here today. One of them, I guess, there's things that we wanted in the fight. For example, height was something everybody was like, why is it not here? But was there any part of the fight that kind of fell short that you're like, I'm a little bit disappointed about it, that maybe should have been a little bit more complicated or a little bit trickier?
Temporal stasis.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. The first temporal stasis
was
very
too easy.
It was clearly meant.
Only temporal stasis.
It was clearly meant to be like an intro to stuff happening on that phase, like of stuff that's going to carry over, I guess. But man, it was bland.
I think that's straight as a cheese, straight up.
It might be.
That's why it was so easy.
Yeah, I don't know, like the way we do our temporal strategy, it's just so easy. It's like that's actually a break for us. Like I don't know about everyone else, but for us, it's just a snooze.
Okay. All we do is joke about pop in our pots the moment that the
30-second gang.
30-second gang. Yeah, if you pop your potion right as the time stop happens, just like in the old Alexander, it freezes it. Right
yeah, that's our big secret. If you don't at 30 seconds have it freeze, you can't clear the check.
Oh no!
Sorry, team. I gave it away. Oh, man.
Well, might as well just give out the entirety.
Yeah,
of the
release
fight.
the video now.
Yep, I'm already making it public.
Unprivating my video.
Got it.
But I wanted to see more from Alexander Prime.
Okay.
There is so much you can do with time stop or his mechanics in like a difficult way.
Mm-hmm.
But he just didn't do it during Prime. I wanted to see.
Oh, you mean
like,
in between mechanics?
Yeah, like take any mechanic in that fight or from Midas. Now add time manipulation and like time stop, and you want to see that from Prime, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just dumb that you don't.
Are you sad that you didn't have to send players into some other place where they had to kill an ad and come back?
No, I'm good at that.
Okay.
We already did that in A12.
Yeah, we don't need that. Those rooms are also highly imbalanced per class.
Right.
That was like one of the rooms that you'd send the warrior in just because they're like superior than every other class at the time at doing it. And
I remember that.
It offers like a weird class balance that I just didn't like.
Okay.
Okay, one thing that I was kind of sad about was that Living Liquid's mechanics kind of ended after phase 1, but I feel like there was more that they could do with them. Like ferrofluid didn't show up past phase 1.
Oh yeah, it didn't.
They could have made like the tornadoes from Living Liquid have some kind of interaction during Brute and Cruise. Where, like, maybe you freeze it.
Yeah, we didn't get the
tornadoes.
flamethrower them.
Maybe you have to flamethrower one of them, and like they change the mechanic that the tornado does or something. Like there was so much potential there that they didn't use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No digititis?
No digititis.
I'm okay with that. I hate digititis.
That's such an iconic ability from that fight. It's crazy it wasn't
I
there.
guarantee you.
You know, there's another thing that's very iconic that didn't come back.
What's that?
The magnets.
Ferroflow?
Yeah.
Why
wasn't that? That was nonsense. But
so I can understand digititis not being in there though, because the rest of the fight is already so positioning specific.
Yeah.
So all it would be doing is really just adding more of the same type of mechanic into the fight.
Okay, add digititis to Wormhole.
I'm pretty sure these fight designers. I'm pretty sure these fight designers know what they're doing. It's just so like if they pull something, there's probably a decent
strats
reason
for time where they can't get it to work.
Yeah, getting it to work is probably the most important part because when you design a fight, it has to. If you want to throw everything in there, you got to make it work together.
Another A6 situation. Oof.
Yeah.
Where's the giant rolling balls during the cat came?
They got the cat. They got the cat.
We got the cat.
Yeah,
we got the cat.
Yeah.
Get rid of those balls. I hate them.
They were the worst. They were absolutely the worst.
Oh, have the balls rolling around during Wormhole. That'd be sick.
And then you have to swap into the gorilla from A5 to push them.
Have one guy during Wormhole just
bombs falling too.
Trying to dodge all the living cuts and shielding the party.
Mm-hmm.
I am happy we got the meow raid called back though. I missed that from A11.
Yeah,
Every time I heard a meow, I just smile.
Oh,
dude, I did meow at one point, and Shin just told me to shut up. It was really late in the day.
You've been a weeb.
Yeah, I said yeah at like it was really really late in the day on day 2 I think, and I said yeah, and Shin was like stop.
Okay, so going on the other side of this, what was your favorite mechanic to execute?
Wormhole.
Probably Wormhole when it worked.
Okay.
You did it right.
It's so pretty. Honestly, both of those mechanics are really pretty.
My favorite's the triple cruise chaser cleave into super. I think that's it's simple, but it's fun at the end of Inception formation.
Oh yeah, that looks amazing from a tank perspective because no other class gets to see this, but I get to see Brute Justice literally come at me from behind and land right behind the group. It's great. No one else gets.
It's just satisfying. I don't know why. It's so simple and easy, but it's satisfying.
Okay.
Oh yeah, someone in chat mentioned this. The colors of the Nisi are so pretty and vibrant. I don't know why. There's like entranced.
Oh,
Like I
speaking
don't
of
know.
Nisi, I like the little.
Sorry.
I really like the little bonk the hammer does when you first pass the Nisi buff.
Yeah,
And
like
it smacks you on the head.
smacks.
The hammer.
What were you gonna say, Pat?
Yeah, I was going to comment about that during Frog, how like the colors for the Nisis are so like vibrant. They make me think of fruit.
Yeah, I know. It looks like you want to eat the buff. It's like I'm
Oh my god, this is
lose
a
it.
interesting conversation that we've gone into.
Mechanics are nice.
Yeah,
It's a very
they're tasty.
It's a very It's a very visually appealing fight.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish they maybe picked different colors in orange and like red for one of the Nisi, but that's just a personal problem because I can't really tell apart those colors that well.
Mm-hmm.
They should have used the same colors as markers.
I'm a little sad we couldn't match the markers, but I mean, they kind of get their own marker, so it's not that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we've hit most of these questions here. A lot of these other questions that are coming in from chat and a lot of these other questions that were on Twitter, we went over during the show. So if you guys are really invested in knowing the answer, instead of us repeating the answer, feel free to see the other parts of the show later on when this is uploaded. But I would like to go ahead and just personally ask you guys, we've gone over a lot of stuff today, like a ton of things. Was there anything that you guys were like thinking about that you're like, man, this is really on the top of my mind and I wanted to have a discussion about it and talk about it that we didn't discuss today? Or did we pretty much hit everything that you guys cared to talk about? Too broad of a question.
That's pretty broad.
Sorry.
Okay, why can you feed the Jackdaws to tornadoes? Why?
That's a good question.
There's gotta be a strat. There's gotta be a strat.
There's probably a strat we feed to the tornadoes.
I wonder why you have to do that, or why that would be a thing.
It's probably it's probably preventing something like a tank from voking or grabbing it from across the room, and then it comes at you at an angle.
Doesn't do that anyway because of the tether when you hit it.
Yeah, but like wouldn't it? Yeah, but couldn't you also
the
pull
DPS
it?
dies.
Couldn't you pull it at a certain angle and it would just feed instantly into the tornado?
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah, or if a DPS dies, that too. I think we had to do that only once.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, maybe somebody will develop a strategy later on, like a couple weeks down the road, that might get used as a pug strat that works more efficiently with the tornadoes. I hope so, because God, this is going to be so hard for me to pug. It's going to take me so long.
I really would suggest against pugging it. You should probably find a group.
I just don't have the time, right? And so, like, the only time that I can raid is when it is randomly available to me. So
that stinks. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, because I mean,
maybe you can push for a singular pug strat, just like the JPs do. Then everyone will be on the same page, which is the most important thing.
Hey, here's a good question. What's the funniest thing that happened during Frog? What do you guys say the funniest thing was that happened during Frog?
Nothing.
I think the Raimi yelling out Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann was really up there.
Yeah,
that was
definitely
awesome.
That came out of left field. I was not expecting that.
I wasn't expecting it, and I'm so glad it happened.
You must have been just ready for that cutscene to happen.
Yeah, you were like prepared for that. I don't know. It was awesome.
I wasn't even sure if it was Raimi at first. It's like, is that Raimi?
Was that it?
Thank
Is
you,
there any
Raimi.
other situations that happened?
I feel like we were so focused that those moments are few and far between. You know,
We did have a couple. I don't remember what they were. I think there was one time where Sindolf ran, like we were getting quiet and Sindolf said some like alluring comment randomly, and we all told him to shut up, and we all laughed about it. But it was like right after stasis.
There's a temporal stasis. I remember that. Yeah.
Didn't he say like Haitian or something?
Yeah, it was Sindolf.
What you wearing?
What you wearing?
I was like,
remember that.
Paisa squid?
He's like Haitian. And she was like, sup? And he was like, what you wearing?
Oh, dear.
So
in the moment, it was fun.
Is Sindoff like the clown for the group, or do you guys have a clown for the group?
I think he's definitely our clown emoji.
Sindoff is a morale booster for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love raiding with him.
Okay. All right. I want to ask this. I always feel like it's important. There's always a chance that maybe someone from Square is watching. One of the developers might get some clip or some message from this show. And I wanted you guys to have a second to just say, hey, if you were dedicated to talking to Square Enix right now and saying anything to them about Ultimate or in general, what would you guys say to them about, I guess, what your thoughts are after doing this fight?
Keep it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Give this fight designer a raise, like a big one. Have him just make every fight. No, I'm kidding, but he did a really good job.
Third Ultimate. Yeah. It'll be the best timing if you release it after patch 5.5. It's like the best.
I don't know who did the design for this fight, but if it wasn't Kenji Sudo, they did an amazing job, and it's like did him proud. Sure. If it was him, then I mean he does amazing work, and big fan of all the fights that he's designed. So I hope he continues to make more. If this wasn't him, then whoever it is keeps on the same line of thinking, same line of designing. Okay. This was an absolute pleasure to prog through.
Excellent. That was just really it? Just thanking him for the fight?
More of this. This is the reason, effectively, that all of us here play this game.
Yeah, it's kind of hurts when it goes like a year and a half between tiers.
17, 18 months, something like that, since the last Ultimate.
Yeah. It's hard to like play this game super seriously when it's that long between tiers. So I wish we could have it more often, but you know, there's limitations. There's a limited audience for Ultimates, so we understand.
Hire more people with our sub buddy, damn it.
Small indie dev team.
Square.
Just want more.
All that money is going to Final Fantasy VII.
I wish there was more content, if it's not Ultimates, that could apply to the hardcore raiders. Like, you know, I know some groups have been asking for like really challenging 4-man content that would apply to people like us. Something that scales up, something that's just engaging. You know, we wanted Palace of the Dead to be like that, but it ends up not being sort of
as close with for 180 plus.
POTD was really fun. I personally, I mean, it's long. It's a slog to get up there, but once you get to like the higher floors, it's like, you know, there's real risk. Like you
paying
can
attention to multiple mobs that can wipe you if you don't stun. Well, shit like that. It's really good.
Yeah, or if you pull two things at once, you're basically fucked because you can't kill them fast enough, and one of them is going to do something that's going to kill you. Yeah, it's
okay.
I mean that situation is terrible. The content was good.
Right. All right. Well, there you go, Square. You heard him. Congratulations on a very well-designed fight, and we hope to see more of them. And I agree that 5.5 is literally the best time to have an Ultimate. But of course, there's other limitations and everything else that I don't fully understand, but which might go into development. Now is actually the moment where I know you guys were asking about this before the show, where I would like you guys to have a few moments to just say thanks or shout outs or whatever you want to do to, or not whatever you want to say to other people that might not be recognized.
Shout outs to May and his FC. That was really kind of him.
Thank you,
hard
May.
Carried us.
Really appreciate
yes,
all of the support that he's given us pretty much for the last 2 years, him specifically and his FC, especially this time around. Big help, especially because we were all so busy before.
May is literally the GOAT.
Okay.
Cleese and Zep, you guys came up big too. Anyone supporting teams are usually generally very underappreciated.
Agreed.
The contributions they can make are astounding. Not possible without good support. Any type of prog.
All right.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Rev's group. So Rev, Soul, Moon, and all of them. If you don't know who they are, it's the group that Mr. Happy is frogging with right. Great guys. If their frog goes well, and yeah. Also, shout out to Square Enix for this amazing boss.
There you go. Shout out to Square Enix. If any of you guys are unfamiliar with Square Enix or Final Fantasy XIV, you guys could go ahead. There's a free trial right now, and you can play it. Imagine somebody watching a show that doesn't play Final Fantasy XIV.
Shoutouts to Foldosaurus for being my spirit animal. Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got one more thing.
Sure.
Shout outs to the Unhappy Club on Primal for supporting us and when we made our characters over there. They gave us a ton of gear and potions, so thank you to the FC.
Oh, and
Appreciate
one
it.
more as well.
Yeah.
There's been a huge response of congratulations and things like that on Twitter and DMs, and I just haven't been able to get to everything. So everyone who's congratulated us and NA and the team, just want to thank them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone, for the massive support.
Thank you so much. NA Pride XD.
Flag
USA.
US.
Shoutouts to Legacy FC on Sargatanis.
I don't get the joke behind that. What's the joke behind that one?
You don't know about Legacy FC?
I mean, I understand, but I heard a laugh and I thought there was a joke involved with it too.
Send off knows.
Okay.
It'll matter to the ones who it matters to.
Fair enough. All right. With that all being said, we probably should go and wrap up. It's been about 3 hours now. We've done a pretty good, solid show. I do want to take just a half a second here to go ahead and thank all of you guys again. This has been an awesome show. I really appreciate you guys coming on. And I really enjoyed listening to everybody here. I know it's a huge show with 10 people. Not everybody got to talk as much. But it was really cool to hear your perspective. You guys seem like really amazing people who I'm happy have gotten world first. So thank you guys.
Oh, thank you for having us on.
Thank you
for having us on.
I can't believe you keep letting me on.
Yeah.
Who let this guy in here? Get him out of here.
You do a pretty good job every time you come on. I'm never really upset when you're on the show. Don't change that. I beg. But yeah, that being said too, this whole thing, the world race and the progression overall, every time a new tier comes out is something that I've been really involved with. And so all of you guys are an important part of that. Everybody watching the stream today that watches Prog and they get excited for it and they're just really happy to see it happen. It means a lot that you guys are out there and supporting what we all do. So thank you to all the viewers here. Thank you to literally everyone out there racing, the people who are still out there trying to get the next levels or the next placements here on the world list. And I guess I also want to quickly do a thank to all the mods who tried to keep some sort of peace in chat. Today was a exciting chat. So thank you guys very much. Also, thank you very much to Koro, my wife, for supporting me emotionally and keeping me alive while I do these things. Thank you very much to Blazana for the artwork I have on the show, and Andre Kane for the intro and the closing music. I want to go ahead and also let everybody know who's not aware. Thank you for the people who did support the stream with subs and everything else throughout the show, helping support what we all do here on this channel, support everything I do outside the channel, and letting us do these giveaways. Of course, that's one of the big things. Without those, we wouldn't have those giveaways. So for those people, of course, you will have immediate access after the show to the VOD on Twitch, but don't be too worried about it because this stuff gets released pretty quick. I usually have it up 12 a.m. on Monday morning, so you can still catch it there. With that all being said, I think it's all our way. You guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. And wait, what?
Looks like another group just cleared.
Did they?
Wait, really?
Whoa.
Yeah, Lucrezia just cleared. Oh my gosh.
Really? At the very
Please.
God damn it, man.
Debated. God.
All right, Cleese just got blacklisted.
So fast.
Got blacklisted.
Master class.
Right as I'm ending, Cleese, man. All right.
And people believed him. Oh my god.
Of course, people are gonna believe him. He's probably gonna spread too now. Ay, jeez. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening, rest of your weekend, everything else. Everybody say bye.
Bye. Lag.
Yeah, lots of lag.